Alright. And put a timer. Timer, and then pull the game up for training mode, I guess.
Train. Who dares to enter the mayhem?
Oh wait. You know what? I think we'll just leave it because I don't have to pick anything yet. Alright. I already have all the VODs open, so I just gotta kind of like jump right into it and double check. Nothing specific. Okay, cool. Wait, actually, is this the right? No, it's not. Defensive habits, sure. A winners finals, good stuff. I didn't know Eva was going to the locals. That's cool to see. Good escape. Eva was waiting for it. Yeah. Still getting out. Fish for the knockdown. I don't think, yeah, you can't really get like a free Pineberry here. Kind of a hard call out. Catches the jump attempt. Let's block on the low. Shouldn't kill, right? Oh, it does. Damn, I can't believe that DP was still spaced. Oh, nice knockdown. Awkward Oki, but you know, shotgun. Good 2D on their part. Nice. They're gonna hurt a lot. BP. It's close flash CL. No, a little too low. Nice. Can't do anything about it. Checkmate. Pineberry load. Bait reversal. Pop and a 6H. Oh, you can 6H there. This is okay. Wow, wire symbol going crazy. No DP, huh? Just fish for the tag. Can't do much about this fireball. Tick throw. Does opt to spend the bar. Wait, hold on. I gotta steal this combo. I'm a Kai player. Kai player now. I didn't realize you could get one more hit after that. Hold on. How did you get this? Oh, because there was CL under. I see. Oh, what a cool route. If you want to do 6H there, you can't do all hits. Kind of weird. Well, Pineberry popped. Doesn't matter. It's not really important. But I'm like pretty sure the Pineberry popped as 5H finish. Like the timing just lined up. Because I don't think Pineberry was triggered by 5H. Doesn't really matter. Hey, fuck dash. Another Pineberry. Catch DP. Oh, that's a good scramble for Kai. Can get kind of awkward. Nice. Oh, this is awkward. This is scary positioning from Eva. This is very aggressive positioning. Stun edge? Or not stun edge. I thought they were going to stun her. Nice block on the low. Being very respectful. Nice. I'm assuming... Oh, no, it's winners finals, so there's one more in there. Nice 2 eyes. catch, shot. Oh, I like that more. Good blitz on Eva's part. Backdash toss. IB challenge. Good blitz on their part. This can get kind of scary. Dead angle's not that great. You have to wait a little longer for dead angle. Yeah, 2D's not a punish there. Nice smash. Oh, that's unlucky. I can't believe that went over Kai. Yo, 5D? No, it's accidental 5D. Wow, you can still hit Elphelt off that? I was not expecting her to be that wide. IRC. That's it. Kind of burst safe route. Yeah. Wait, I missed the round start interaction. I wasn't paying attention. As air dash back. That's fine. Oh, that's rough. That is a hard bait. Nice throw. Hey, what's up, Graffiti? Charge blitz. This stunned it, Baroki. Oh, wait, that combo. Damn, that was mad far. That's fucked up. Make room for low damage. Oh, then she missed her stunnage. Oh. Alright. I knew I forgot to start the timer. That's fine. That set was about 7 minutes, so we'll put it at about like 27 minutes or something. Basically, like, it's just gonna go until 2:35 anyway. Actually, it's more like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. Doesn't matter. I didn't notice anything too. So like, it kind of goes without saying that sometimes when you fight like really experienced players, especially in certain matchups, there is less of one big like you're getting blown up by just this. This is like the thing that you need to beat, and then you're good to go. Experienced players are gonna generally rotate so many like small knowledge checks here and there, represent so many little things here and there that it's like they're kind of just winning off of having more tricks than you. And in a sense, you know, a lot of little interactions are going to be like, oh, well, you just didn't know that this time they did this string and they were looking for this instead of doing this string and looking for this, you know. Like you're going to encounter a lot of option rotation, generally speaking. And I only say this sort of as like a disclaimer for myself. Where I'm just like, there's only one real thing I noticed that I could give as advice, based on watching that. And ironically enough, I thought a lot of the defense was actually pretty good. I know that that was like defense and decision making was like the what to look for, but I thought for the most part, the defense was only lacking one concept, and that is certain characters. If you have really good air mobility, we'll just kind of show it real quick. Certain characters, if they have very good air mobility, right? Let's say I'm Elphelt and I do something like classic, right? Do this. Whoops. There we go. Right, so really good air mobility, right? Like most people can't, like unless you're spaced very well, you know, like by the time you try to catch this, it's a no-go, right? The reason this is so strong is because people will often push themselves to about here and then either do special cancels and then overextend. It all depends, right? Like a character like Jam will have Puffball, she'll end about here, and then she'll dash forward and she'll do something, right? But a lot of these strings are not tight enough that they catch somebody's jump, right? Your jump startup is only 3 frames, right? So let's say something is only +3 on block. Whatever button they press after has to be essentially 0 frames, right? Like they only have 3 frames, or sorry, they have to have a button that's like 5 to 6 frames or whatever, right? Because you have to do the math on it, right? Even if something, let's say this is like +2, I have to press something in this range, you know, like nothing is connecting before you can jump often. That's why jumping is so easy to get away with at certain distances, right? And that's why being a character with an option like this is such a big deal, right? The thing that people will begin to do, and Eva did it like right off the bat, and it's very like subtle to notice, is like people will learn that that's your only option. They'll do stuff like this, where they'll end up here, and now this is a lot easier to position for, right? The trick here is that eventually when people key in on the fact that you're always jumping, it's a lot easier to put yourself in these spaces now, right? The difference is that if you really look at the situation that we're in, their pressure is essentially non-existent, right? At this distance, what is any character really representing, right? That is like designed to kill you, that is not just this, right? At best, you might have to be scared of something like this, right? Like the Kai classic of like Fireball, Fireball IRC, right? This is something that I think is like basically the only check here in a situation like that is immediate Fireball YRC. It catches you if you overextend it or whatever. But the thing that I was going to say is once you've represented jumping out of the corner enough, it's actually a lot easier to fight out of the corner than you might think. Because people can't catch you jumping without being a certain distance, right? Like if I am here, even if I see you jump or whatever, it's really hard to get this, especially if I press. Let's do it like this, right? I'll record her to jump and then she'll do it like this. That way I have like a timer to go off of, right? So let's say I do like this. There's no world where I catch you, right? Let's say I did a pressure reset like this, and then I'm gonna re-dash with 2P. I'll never catch you, right? I'm too close. There's no way I can move fast enough to catch you. This is true for a lot of mid distances too. Like if I was to re-dash with 2S and try it, the time it takes me to do this move is often the reason I cannot catch you, right? For a lot of characters, right? I might do this and then say, okay, I'm going to re-dash 2S and then try to get this. And if I'm lucky, maybe I'll get it, right? The difference is like over here, you can whiff a button and then still do this. You wouldn't really do that anyway. But the point is like, I need to be more towards this distance, right? A distance where I'm kind of just reacting, period, right? Like people will push themselves to about here, and then a character like Kai will probably backdash. And the thing here is, you're actually bad in terms of positioning as Elphelt, but you at least have breathing room, right? But the thing people fall into a habit of doing, they don't recognize how to play out of this situation. Hey, what's up, Learn? Right? You need to learn how to recognize when people are playing to catch escapes, right? Rather than catch frame trapping or supers or backdashing, right? It really does more or less boil down into those two types of defensive patterns that you look for as the aggressor. And as the defender, once you've done one, they're looking for it. You need to rotate to the other, right? So a character like Kai will do something like this and then backdash, and then like it might not seem like it, but this option is no longer good, obviously. You land kind of right into Kai's arms. Also, this option is not good, right? This option is another like pitfall that you might fall into here. Where you do this, and a free 2H, right? That distance is built for the character to react to your options, right? And Eva didn't push herself quite this far in those matches, but she did have some moments where she would push herself like this far and then wait. She didn't lock in any other options. She just waited, right? And as soon as you did super jump, she knew what you were doing. So she committed to it, right? She committed to calling it out. The difference is that you're kind of like so tunnel vision sometimes in the moment that you might not notice Eva just crouching and respecting. And in those moments, it's like, yeah, just take a small step and you can press your own far slash, right? You're fighting out of the corner, right? You've shown that you're willing to jump out like that. You should try to take advantage of how they need to give space to call it out. Exactly, right? The big thing is the space and respect needed to counter those options is almost always going to give the respect needed for people to fight out of the corner, right? It's funny because I find that a lot of people take a while to get comfortable with this concept, because fighting out of the corner is really scary if somebody knows what they're doing, right? Like, let me flip the script real quick and then record on Kai instead, right? But this is tough because there is no just do this, just do that. This is the fighting game aspect of the decision making, right? You're picking fighting out of the corner because you're just going to assume eventually that he's caught your super jump out, he's caught your jump out, he's caught your air dash out, that Kai is probably waiting for it. So I'm going to rotate to this. And you might be wrong, right? So we'll give an example, right? Something like this. is like I might do something like block and then run forward and get slit and clipped, right? This is sort of the way that this goes often. It's a big part of why YRC is busted and very unbalanced in these interactions. Because for 25 bar, the thing I just talked about, the thing I just said was, hey, Kai, in order to cover all these options, has to, you know, give up. He has to either wait and then catch you, or he has to be a little greedy and call you out, right? Like he's gonna press a button, you know, so I'm gonna bait it or whatever. But spending 25 bar is the cop out for characters that have projectile resets. You do this, and then if you jumped, I get to see it. If you press the button, I get to see it, right? It's a slowdown protected by a projectile, right? Super unfair. The best thing to do is to wait, unfortunately. That is the best counterplay. Sometimes you can wiggle in things like this to try to sneak in a little bit of extra respect. Oh my god, the slowdown there is crazy. Oh, hold on. Bear with me. Like that, right? You can blitz as soon as you kind of see the slowdown and recognize the situation. You see me even like invo through far slash, right? Don't focus on this interaction too much. Really, the takeaway is that's the thing that's going to really stop you all the time. And if that's happening a lot, just keep blocking. The thing I want you to pay more attention to is if someone is doing something like this, don't feel pressured to escape the corner anymore. Right? If you start seeing things that are generally kind of minus, but safe as an ender, push them out, or they're backdashing at the end of their strings to hold space, you have to fight out of the corner, right? You have to... You might actually get to do things that you wouldn't expect you could do, right? Like, as soon as you see that backdash, you can just lone pine, right? The idea is that you have to capitalize on their respect. It's basically exactly what you said, right? But some ideas for Elphelt are like, don't be scared to microdash 6H out of the corner. Don't be scared to... Depending on what the distance they hold is, don't be scared to far slash out of the corner, right? There's a lot of different ways you could go about it, right? But you have to learn to use that respect. And you will be wrong. That's the thing, right? You're going to be wrong. Like, you're going to think, okay, this guy's not going to catch the super jump anymore. I'm going to go for the super jump, and they catch it. Or you're going to think this guy's going to catch the super jump. They're not going to wait for if I do like 6H out of block or something. You know, they're not going to they're not going to try to frame trap this. That you're gonna be like, oh man, that's shitty, but it's also just, but think of it as the decision making part of the fighting game, right? The difference is if you're wrong, then you're just wrong. But if all you're ever representing is super jump escape like this, and then somebody does, you know, like exactly what I'm talking about. The big thing here is Exert is a very big game on, you don't get many opportunities to sort of get your turn back, right? It's very hard to earn respect in this game sometimes. So for you to not recognize when it's time for you to capitalize is pretty big, right? In other words, if somebody does this and then waits and you don't super jump, but then they do this without spending meter, without doing anything, you were just so scared and you were just, I can't super jump, so I'm just gonna wait, and they restart their block string, that's not okay. Like almost always, you can never let that happen, right? That's way too much respect. Right? Nobody should ever warrant that much respect, except maybe like Johnny, maybe Elphelt with shotgun, but that's about it. I can't think of anybody else that deserves that amount of respect. But yeah, in all honesty, I couldn't. Everything else looked pretty solid. It looked like you're still just getting used to doing some of the tips I already gave you. You're good at super jumping out of the corner to get out. You're pretty comfortable relying on Pineberry and throwing it so that it takes space and you play from behind it. I think those were fine. In all honesty, like I thought the defense was pretty solid. And the thing that actually killed you, I think, more than anything else, ironically enough, was your offense just wasn't as clean as Eva's. Right? This is at its core oftentimes like a very offensive game. And offense just comes with time, so there is no just do this necessarily. But there were a lot of moments where like you would get your Pineberry, you would toss it, and then Eva would pick an option like say Blitz DP, and you would get clipped or whatever, right? You had a lot of moments where your offense just suddenly ended. But in all honesty, you didn't get bodied that much defensively. Yeah. I don't have any other tips off the top of my head, but you can ask questions if you want. You still have a bit of time. You have about like 10 minutes or so. Otherwise, I'll probably just talk about defending Kai in general, just as like a why not type of thing. But if you have anything that comes to mind that I didn't answer, you can feel free to ask. Dude, sometimes you just drink water and it's like nothing else would hit quite like this water. Can't think of anything. That's fine. I know it's kind of on the spot. Don't sweat it. We'll talk about defending Kai for the next, like, 10 minutes or so, since you still have time anyway. I don't want to waste your time. Something to consider. So, there's, like, kind of some obvious stuff to know about Kai, right? One, his jabs are plus. I think crouch jab is +2 and stand jab is, like, +1 or something like that. His stand jabs are plus. His kicks are minus, actually. If I'm not mistaken, both of these are minus. They're negligible amounts of minus. I think this is like -2 or 1 or something like that. Let me fact check myself so that I don't misinfo, you know? But I'm almost positive it's just his punch normals in terms of like his little like 5-frame options that are plus. Let me see. Yeah, 5K is really minus. 2K is... Oh, it's even on block, excuse me. That's actually pretty good. I thought that was minus. But there is sort of a structure, or not. Kai has a lot of ability to change his block strings, but outside of throw resets, Kai has a lot of set points where he will reset his pressure in different ways, right? So, for example, right, like a very level 1 thing for Kai is 2P close slash. If you do it correctly, this is just a frame trap, right? It's like +2 and then close slash is like 6 or 7 frame startup or something like that. So this is like a very textbook Kai string. And the thing is if you mash into this, let me see if I can time it correctly, like this. Alright, so like if you mash, this hit confirm is very easy for Kai. Hit confirm is very, very easy for Kai. If he does close slash, there's a million years on counter hit to link it into any other button, right? So this has a gap technically. If you ever want to abuse it, there is a gap if they're specifically frame trapping off of jab into close slash. He might also do this, because if he frame traps with this option, close slash into 6H only combos on counter hit, and you have to do it preemptively. Or at least I do. I have never been able to hit confirm this like on reaction to the counter hit. In other words, usually it looks like this. They'll do it preemptively, and it's nice to know because if somebody has a fixation on it, there's also a gap on basically everything that goes into 6H, right? The thing about this string is that Kai would do something like close slash 6H because the value is a lot. He gets quite a bit of damage, especially in the corner. He can get some pretty solid Okazeme if he chooses to, right? That's really high reward. But he has to essentially assume the close slash is going to counter hit you and then go into 6H. And if you block 6H, he's fine, right? Like, this button is like double digit plus. I should double check. I think it's plus 11 or 13. Let me see. Where is 6H? 6H. Plus 11, excuse me. So it's plus 11, right? In other words, like, yes, Kai is not scared to do buttons after this, right? Like, the world is his oyster. So, but it means that you can represent, if you know that they're fishing for that greedy confirm, you can rip you can rip a blitz there, like right off the bat. It will also catch a lot of his other pressure resets. So something like this is also a confirm, like as a counter hit, right? It does close slash 6K and he just buffers it. Same thing with 6K. 6K plus on block. It's like +3. Let me see. My frame data knowledge on him is a little rusty. I think it's plus. Oh, it's +4. Wow, that's pretty good. So he's +4, right? But the thing is, same concept. If you see close slash and you're like, oh, they're gonna do the whatever, then you should be able to blitz here. It's not a true block string. Like if I hold up, hold on, see. If I hold up on close slash, you see it hitting me. It's not a true block string. Just a little bit of a funky timing, right? But now you see like, huh, this string and this string are both losing to blitz here, aren't they? Right, now you're catching both of his pressure resets here. This option alone will incentivize Kai to do things, or at least it should incentivize Kai players to do more redashes like this, so that they punish you for waiting for close slash and then blitzing when you see close slash. It'll also convince them to just push themselves out more and not take that RPS to begin with, right? Or they'll do a lot more, like, if they're gonna frame trap, they might frame trap with lows, right? There's nothing that says they can't do 2P, 2K like this. And now the low is still, like, you're still getting frame trapped, but now they're not committing to that same sequence. But it feels good because if you can start to represent certain things like that versus Kai players, 6H and 6K are his pressure resets. They're plus, right? That's how he sneaks up on you again and does a bunch more offense. So if you start to get them to push you out, then Kai suddenly doesn't feel all that intimidating to block. Yes, he's still good in neutral. This isn't necessarily like much better, but the point is nobody wants to block in Exeter. Nobody. So you might as well learn a couple things that will incentivize people to take less risks versus you and just push out, right? Do strings that look more like this, right? And you just push out, and it's like, huh, you know, I'm not in a great position because Kai can easily press this button and stuff me, or this button, or backdash and anti-air. But we went from playing me blocking and them doing whatever they want to now at least we're both sort of guessing in neutral, right? Another thing to keep in mind is even if you are asleep at the wheel and you do respect something that looks more like this, we'll say, right? There's always a gap on these, right? If you look at, as long as your regular block, well, that's not true for 6H, excuse me. That's not true for 6H, but we'll focus on 6K because 6K is pretty common in a lot of block strings for Kai. If they are using 6K a lot, 6K is only +4, right? And Kai only has 5-frame buttons. He doesn't have anything faster than 5 frames. So you can always backdash this option. In terms of whatever he's picking afterwards, you can always backdash, and if he's picking something quick to frame trap, you will always get out, right? If you're ever getting caught, it's because Kai essentially assumed that you were going to backdash and almost certainly press something that is not an actual frame trap, right? But just to show sort of like what a Kai sequence does look like, it might look something like this, right? So initial frame trap, frame trap again, and then probably I'll do something like we'll do like 2K2D is like a very safe check after. All right, so now, you know, I press a button, I'm wrong, right? Plus on block, right? Never forget, by the way, there's a gap here, you know. You could, if you're nasty, backdash, but that's only if they're frame trapping there, right? If you block regular 6K, then you backdash here. It's always a very late timing because he's very plus. Oh my goodness. Hold on, bear with me. I gotta practice blitz so I know the timing. The trick here, I will say, is that the window is pretty tight on these because he's so close to being frame tight. That it's like you really need to like be patient and wait for that like last frame to get it. And I don't think backdash buffers out of block. So it is a little bit of a tight window to get. There we go. Doing it a little late. Right. But the point is, if you practice it, if you're looking for it, you absolutely can backdash out of his pressure resets, right? Obviously, this is a little less useful in the corner, depending on the normals he picks, because you might backdash and then block the next thing that comes out. But it's pretty good to know in the middle of the screen, right? It means you get a lot of breathing room here. Also, pressure resets mean the obvious thing. It also means that this isn't a true block string. I have a super. I can absolutely super here if I can hit the signer. See? So 6K is a button that is very easy to accidentally just always block after, right? The idea is that Kai is interacting with you here. You do kind of want to probably lab that just to have it as pocket sand. It's absolutely pocket sand. A lot of defensive things in this game are just pocket sand, right? There's also things where if you instant block this, I think he's only like +2 or something like that. So depending on what they pick, it's like not necessarily a frame trap. Again, it's just important because Kai shouldn't really feel like a character that is doing, well, like just, let me see, block everything and say, yeah. Kai shouldn't do this to you. Like, Kai should never get to do that to you on paper, you know. He shouldn't really get that many pressure resets. He has too many points of interaction where you could either backdash, super, blitz if you kind of know what button he's going to press after, right? That he should be more inclined to push you out sort of with safer strings like this. Right? It's not in his best interest a lot of the time to continue to roll around in the mud with you, right? And honestly, a lot of the adjustments are very simple, right? A lot of it is just if they start backdashing, Kai will chase with close slash more frequently, right? He might do something like this. Microdash close slash catches you airborne, right? But again, anything that is clipping you after 6K is almost never an actual frame trap, right? If he's catching your backdash and stuff, it's probably because you could have seen 6K and went, you know what? That's not real. You know? This is a very aggressive approach to defense. I almost never recommend actually disrespecting, but I do recommend representing something kind of safe like backdash. maybe just once or twice. You throw some pocket sand out, and then don't do it again, right? Because once he does these pressure resets, you might even be able to fish for like fuzzy throw inputs on defense, right? Like that now. See, you don't even have to mash, right? There's so many ways in this game. There's so many tricky ways on defense to incentivize somebody to feel like, you know what? I'm going to call this out. And like, even if they did a redash, say with 2P, as long as they didn't pick a low there and they did a redash, I'm going to get that, right? And if they don't do their frame trap, if they do their frame trap a little too tight and then they don't pick a low, I'm just going to get my fuzzy block, right? In other words, like, I would block and then you'd see me stand block for a second and then I would crouch. And that was me sneaking in a fuzzy throw in this moment, like that, you know? Like, if I was to show my input history, looks kind of like this, right? My input history was block into... Wow, that actually gave me the throw? That's nuts. No way. Right, so there it is. That's a clean fuzzy input. Right, so I'm blocking. Kai did his run up. You see down back, go to back, heavy, and then immediately go back down to down back, right? Very, very, very telegraphed fuzzy throw input. Yeah, don't worry too much about the defense in general of the game. It is the hardest piece of the game to pick apart because you're essentially learning small interaction after small interaction after small interaction, right? So it takes a long time to build them all up to the point where you have like a level of comfort with it where you're not worried about going in a block all that often, you know? But it is worth learning a couple big things, right? Like the big one I think is like learning that blitzing a lot of his resets is important, is really nice to know. Especially because Kai, unless he gets something like this, usually won't kill you immediately off the low. If he hits this, this is going to do a lot of damage. This is like his one thing. If he hits this, you are disappearing. Right? Do a solid like 30% of your health potentially. Even more in the corner. That this is like the one you do want to be careful about. But all those little tricks, very important to know. And like I said, really the takeaway is I don't have much to say because Exerd is a game where progression is slow. So yeah, I don't mind people coming back for VOD review, but I might not find much for them to say. Right? Like I might find only one thing, if even, when people come back, if there hasn't been that much time. But I do think learning to recognize distance and then play out of the corner and rotate off of super jump into just running out, representing far/2H is pretty important. Like, let's see, we still have like a minute or two, so we'll like speedrun the set and see like the moments I'm talking about. Because if you notice, I want to say Eva, the first interaction you guys have sort of in the corner is very like the super jump works the very first time, I think, or it doesn't or something like that. But it's very clear like how this happens, right? See, this is kind of what I mean, right? If you watch the way that Eva does the block string here, it's like pushes herself out, does not decide to overextend, just kind of crouches, holds space, sees what you're doing, reacts, and then fishes for the punish, right? Right. Pressure reset, waits, right? Does not overextend, doesn't immediately frame trap, doesn't do anything. Spaces, tries to punish again, right? These are all moments where it is scary, right? It is scary to think like they just did CL. Like, what if they press far slash? Far slash will probably frame trap me. Not because it's plus, but because of it's like a spacing thing that it'll catch you on a spacing frame trap, right? If you had stayed on the floor and pressed the button, Eva would have blocked it, right? In fact, I think there were a couple of brief moments later on in the set where it did happen, but never in the mid range. Always more like point blank than anything else. Well, that's still comboed, huh? It's the knockdown, and then Kyoki is just Kyoki. There's nothing fancy. It's just either you block a high low or you don't, right? Again, see, like, the funny part is Elphelt super jump air dash pineberry pull is such a high air option. You can see even when she's trying to punish it, she actually misses it quite a bit. For like even here, right, a little too close, she goes for it, not in range. But I want to say towards like the later parts, like as the step progresses, I think she just keeps looking for it more, right? Like this is more what I mean when I say like these are pressure resets, right? Plus frame into micro dash, frame trap attempt, right? 6H to catch any kind of like shenanigans. Where most of the time, like in these situations, when you were getting knocked down or in pressure, it's like hold space, doesn't actually press anything. Look how long Eva's just waiting, right? Snipes trying to get an air punish, right? It doesn't feel obvious in the moment because fighting games are so fast, but when you go back and you really look at it, you kind of go, oh, wait, they're not really doing anything. They're not really, like, she's not really trying to kill me, you know? She's actually just waiting to see if I'll kill myself, you know? See if I will do it for her. Get hit by the low. There are a couple moments where I want to say that she kind of rotated back towards, like, you know what? I don't think Pork Bun is going to do the super jump anymore. And she would kind of opt for just, like, fishing for frame traps a little more. Hello. Trying to find, like, good instances of, like, being cornered or whatever. Yeah. And the round that you took was just a lot of, like, just good offense. Sometimes Exert is just good offense, man. Sometimes fighting games are just good offense. They're not so deep that it's anything more than that sometimes. This is what it looks like when... So she does this, ends her string, fishes for far slash, right? If you had thought she was respecting you and pressed it, you would have gotten frame trapped here. But if you notice, she doesn't have time to punish this anymore. Like, look how late that 6H, or the 2H's, right? That's because that's how that interaction generally plays out. That's not always a hard rule, but that's usually how it plays out. Super jump options like this, if people whiff normals, by the time they recover, they don't have a good positioning. They don't have the frame advantage to punish correctly. Wow. Simple concept, but very important. Very essential to understand. It adds a lot to people's defense, depending on the characters you play. A lot of characters can usually super jump out and kind of like wiggle out of situations that it comes up enough. Alright. Let me make sure I have the order right. I think next is Rapunzel. Yeah, because I messaged an order of submissions, and only Gnoz had a request for a time slot. Thank God people have been lenient on time slots. I'm very happy I don't actually have to coordinate stuff. All right. Let's send the message. The 5-minute timer begins, by the way. Not really, but it does. It does. 5 minutes you're late. When we cut you. But that's only to be respectful of people that do show up on time. We don't want to, like... Alright, cool. Alright. Let me double check. Anything to look for. Drop specifically when you should be taking space. We're not. We shouldn't see to get nervous in neutral. Spite your character and then back up. Wait for them to come to you. Walk all over you. Do look scared in neutral. No idea what to do. Oh god. Yeah, oh god. Alright. 10 minutes, by the way, is not like... An 11-minute set is like... We actually probably will watch most of this, if I had to guess. Nah, you weren't late. You weren't late. 2:35. If anything, I'm the one that's more prone to being late. Sometimes I'm off by like 1 to 5 minutes, depending on how some of the stuff drags on. Okay. A lot of respect. I like jumping to avoid the note. Positioning is kind of scary. Pressure reset, pressure reset. Well, it's kind of greedy, but it worked out. Dude, it's good spacing. Early JD recognition, good shit. Pressure reset. Cheeky throw attempt works out. That's a classic. Stroke. I would backdash here. Gold burst works too. Nice block. It's gonna hurt. Oh, that's okay. That's not the good ender. That's not an ender period, actually. Nice blitz. Yeah, that was good spacing on Cam's part there. That was less like bad on you and more like that was just good spacing on their part. Dashing that far forward is a pretty big commit for a character like I see. Good confirm. Hits the VCL. This messed up mix up. Damn, that was a really active dead angle. This is like still in dash, so it's gonna get hit. Can't throw at that point. It worked out again. There's a couple things here I would have to double check. I'll only make like big points. There's a lot. Every time I watch people for the first time, there's usually a lot of things I can tell them. But we'll focus on like important stuff. The classic. Not meeting, you know, tough. Don't burst. Now burst, though. Doom, doom. Yeah, that's not really, like... Yeah, I was gonna say that might not, like, connect into 5P. The long confirm. A classic. A bajillion resets, but it's Eno. Nobody's ready. A little high, but it should be fine, yeah. Oh, that's tough. Talk about some other little like minor things too. I definitely saw that Oki and I had an immediate thought. Not that it was bad. That's good Oki, but I do have a comment about it. That coin trade's not bad. It might feel bad, but ending neutral like that, not too bad. Yeah, it's definitely too far. Well, it's spooky. Should be a punish, yeah. It's hard to tell, but that early in the note, you know it's gonna dissipate, and you can just press the button like 2S for sure. I'm surprised far slash worked, but note was only one hit at that point. Cheeky reset. That's the Eno classic. This could kill. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure I have the timer going. I think I do. Yeah, I do. I'll watch like 2 more games. I don't need to see the whole set, but I'm interested to see how the games that go your way end up going. Nice escape. It's a little close. You have to do this JD mad early. Yeah. Nice. Oh, the classic. Oh, classico. That was gonna be an awkward confirm. You always have to start with coin in those confirms. I'm pretty sure because you have to account for the fact that they're already in the air. Wall splatted. Nice dash under. Oh, yeah, a little awkward on the spacing. It's YRC the go. Ain't nobody ever gonna do it like that. Cheeky reset works out. Definitely a round of just a lot of good escapes, a lot of confidence, a lot of lucky hits in mid range. Oh, that's huge. Nice. Oh, the goat 5K, baby. Okay, what's the play on note? I like that super jump. Very safe. Dang, the timing on that dash was crazy. That was mad lucky. Dash like just through the active frames of HCL. That's gonna hit, right? No, it's not. Wow, I'm surprised you went that fast. Nice blocks. Plus, though. Doom. I don't know if that was gonna actually kill, honestly. Nice bait. The messed up part is knowing you didn't have to do it. You don't have to hard Vedas, Johnny. It's fucked up. As soon as you hit this, you jab. Boom. 5P's burst safe. You burst safe until you rip finer, and you only rip finer once they're like at the tip of 5P. Yeah. Well, coin would have been iffier because coin they were very low at the start of the hit, so coin into something like immediate finer wouldn't have worked. Yeah. Yeah, they're good 6K adjustments. 6K is good advice. Kelly was right. That's like if I had to say one thing, that's definitely what I would say. Just like you just got to 6K more. There's too much HCL. Get clipped. This Oki's not so bad. It's just like a safe jump. Oh, they already do dash JKP, huh? That string is busted. I hate that string. Nice. Wow, 5p hits that far? Hurtbox. Damn, hurtbox for reals. That hit too? Oh, a little early. I saw the throw attempt again. Or not space. That was a little far for Johnny throw. You can keep this pretty burst safe if you do far/2H as the starter. After the wall splat. Jonathan guilty here. It's the only way you know to confirm the combo and at that range. No, yeah. I mean, a lot of characters don't get comboed at that range. That's the thing. The fact that she got hit is what's impressive. Hi? Oh, I thought they were going to JD. I didn't think they'd redash. Doom, 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 doom. This is good, Oki. Oh, until they opted to do that. Coin is safe. There's one thing we'll check. We'll check exactly one thing I'm curious about for matchup advice. There's a lot of things we can talk about. It's easy to give people some matchup advice alongside general advice. Oh, that's an ugly scramble interaction. But I'm not actually 100% sure how the interaction goes, so I gotta check. But I think I know how it'll go generally. I don't see why it wouldn't go the way I think it's gonna go. Nice. Actually, there are two things I should check, now that I think about it. There's actually another one, but I'm less confident in this other one that I'm thinking of. Nice. Yeah, it's way too far. That's also pretty far. That's too high. Damn, no, Eno got a crazy hurt box for these combos, bro. A little ambitious, but it works out. Super? I would low-key super. Test their execution. What's the worst that can happen? It's what's my name on block, dude? Like, air dash. Deading ult out. Nice. It's hard. That's a hard dash Y to hit. You have to do very quick dashes to get it. No levels, though. No coins? The Megamind? No coins? Alright. Yeah, I think I have an idea for what to do. Or to talk about. Let me character select real quick. I want to test two things real quick. There's one very big thing I gotta check. Specifically versus Eno. Because HCL is a lot... Like, it has a lot more recovery than people think. Right? That's like the big reason you're not really supposed to use it a bunch. I want to say this, yeah, is a punish. So... in this distance, say like any distance where 6k hits, if you nail a crouch and they whiff, there's a good chance, it looks like it's spacing dependent, you can either make contact or this is a punish. Yeah, see? Yeah. So like, it's a tight timing because you essentially want to hit, you want to 6k the moment the active frames end. But let's say you get to this distance, you crouch this shit. Let me set block. Actually, it might be. Let me block everything. Yeah, if it's countering, it's a punish. If it's this, that's honestly fine, bro. Block Johnny 6k has never been bad in my eyes, but I get what people mean. You're still minus technically. You're -1 here, but the point is if you're approaching Eno and you get to about here and you recognize it, do 6k. Because even on contact, if it's not a punish, it's not a big deal. This is a punish, but I didn't want to show this because this one is like very executional based. If you can nail Mistfinder double dash, if you can double dash treasure hunt, then it's a punish. Right? I know if I was to say, like, if I was watching Sweaty Exerd, right, like high level shit, that's the punish I would probably see. Is at any distance, you just crouch, stand, and Mistfinder. And this is a punish. But that's kind of sweaty, so it's like, I would never really, yeah, just do recover into Cave Finder, like. But this is a punish. It should work at level 2 as well. It's just a little harder. You can do it from anywhere, essentially. Just food for thought. Food for thought. Like, something to remember for, like, further down. But yeah, that means even at this distance, punish. Right. But yeah. My general rule, if we're talking neutral's kind of hard to generalize because it's obviously matchup to matchup. But if we're generalizing Johnny neutral, something I usually tell people is that with Johnny, it's honestly less about being here. You actually don't care about like walking into this distance where things like far slash hit. It's a lot more important to be around here, in my opinion, as Johnny. I think people have to realize that with Johnny, oh, so what's up, Kyrie? It's a lot more about you want to dash into the range where those normals hit. Johnny is too big and slow to be hanging out here, right? In other words, like, you might want to sort of like tell yourself, oh, I need to like get to here and then do it slowly and da-da-da-da. It's like, not really. Johnny dash is really far. So even at this distance, if I dash, far slash connects, right? That's a pretty big deal. Like, even from this distance, one good dash and far slash hits. Right, far slash 2S will sometimes connect depending on how close you manage to get before you dash. Something like this, and then at level 3 that connects. At level 2 it definitely does not, unfortunately. This is like the one downside to playing neutral like this as Johnny, is if you're playing like this, and you're playing to get the hit in neutral from about here, if you do this, it doesn't hit. It's got to be level 3. Right, that's the one, if you ask me, that's the one downside. And technically, you can also get around it if you are good, because you can do... You do this. And I said, at even level 2, double dash, treasure hunt picks up. So as long as you have the resources, even at level 2, you will get a confirm here. Oh, it's been so long, forgive me. I haven't practiced treasure hunt in a long time. But yeah, something to keep in mind, right? In other words, like, it can get annoying because Eno has an option like HCL, right? So if you're like kind of here, it can get annoying. But the thing to remember is, like, after HCL, she has a lot of recovery, right? So a lot of times, even if you're not in 6k range, right? Like, here, I'm not in range to 6k. It's probably not a bad idea to dash as soon as it finishes like that, right? Because I'm going to hold up, and you're going to see how long it takes Eno to, like, really recover and get to do something again. See? She is now finally jumping, right? The key is her HCLs function like fireballs, almost, right? Especially if you're not... if you're not tiger kneeing them, right? So if you don't know, some characters can run under this move naturally. They just either low profile off their run or they're so short it doesn't hit them, right? The workaround is she can tiger knee it. She can do it right off the floor, airborne, and this does hit people on the floor, right? This one's a little better in general, I think. I think it also just recovers faster if you're tiger kneeing it. It's like really hard to tell the difference. But my point is, unless they're a sweat and they're tiger kneeing this shit every time, they're either going to have to spend bar or let you get a lot of dash buttons here, right? Because even if she does, like, 2k in place, we'll say, if I'm standing here and I do this, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to HCL, right? Oh, a little too close, right? Then it's like, I'll probably just press far slash. Or actually, 5k might still hit at that distance. That's kind of crazy. Nah, that's fine. Even that's not a big deal. Because it's like, they're probably pressing that. But at this point, you're just so close that it's like, basically anything will probably hit. But I don't want to hyper fixate on interactions, what you should pick here, what you should not. The thing to remember is that you should take space a bit slower versus Eno. Obviously, because if you don't do it carefully, then yeah, you'll run into HCL, right? That's the reason you don't really dash that much as Johnny in this matchup. But you also don't want to be like this far. If you're this far, she's just going to do no. You have to hang out like around here, right? You have to hang out in a range where she feels threatened to just do this option, right? Because you can also just do this, right? There's a lot. Basically, you wait for HCL to pass, and then you pick your option, right? It's one of those things where it's a lot like blocking Axel's Rensen. Once you block Rensen, it's time to play the game, right? You take a guess. What do you think Eno's going to do, right? You think he's going to press a button in place? Then yeah, do something like ZYRC probably, right? Like ZYRC absolutely will get the punish, right? You think this might like clip him? Go for it, right? Like if you're close enough and you're like, yeah, I think I'm actually just in the range to get this punish. Go for it, right? But I was going to say, to kind of like continue the thought, the reason that Johnny wants to hang out at this range, usually more than anything else, is because Johnny's pokes convert, right? All your pokes convert into things. So there's no point in like feeling like you have to get here in a specific way, right? Because Johnny doesn't actually want to do this, right? You don't actually want to get close enough that you're finally dashing up point blank. That's not really how he works. You don't need to do that. You only need to make contact, right? because of how S-Finer works, you're allowed to play at a distance where like, now that I think about it, a lot of characters don't reach here, right? Like Kai doesn't reach here, and he has some of the best range in the game. Beak Driver connects, and that's like one of the only things, right? Like nobody has options that hit here, including Johnny, right? Nobody has things that hit you here. Something important to mention too is this range is also just good at rewarding you versus people that are impatient. So at this range, if I wait, a lot of anti-airs are just crouch based. They're not actually 6p based. At this distance, most people's air dash is whiff. So a lot of your anti-air punishes are you just crouch. It's actually insanely easy to get a lot of anti-air punishes at this distance, because most air dash options from a lot of characters in the game do not hit crouch. Some do. So like maybe like 5 or 6 of the characters in the game have shit where they air dash and it does hit you trying to crouch in neutral. But a lot of them look kind of like this, where if I'm at this distance and they're uncomfortable, they don't know how to close the gap, then you low profile and you press basically any button on the way back up. You see them whiff a button, you press close slash more likely than not. But 5p is great. Even 5k tends to hit. Like, there's a lot that goes on, right? The other thing is, in some ways, Johnny's dash, I wouldn't call it superior, but it definitely plays this distance different from other people. A character like Soul does have to run all the way to here and then press a button. And it takes a bit. Johnny dashes. It only takes, what, like 16 frames before you can press far slash? Something like that. So it's a range where they shouldn't feel like they're not threatened, right? Like at this range, the opponent might think like, oh, I'm so far, you know, I can't get hit by anything. It's like, well, that's true until Johnny dashes and does that, right? Similarly, if they want to throw stuff out or do lazy approaches, Coin's angle is phenomenal here. Coin's angle is so good. It's also a big reason why anti-airing, mad easy, right? Because at this distance, if you're uncomfortable, you could just throw a coin, right? And even at level 2, I think you can kick confirm the counter hit if you're like really ready. Let me see. So let's say I'm like level 1, right? I do this. Yeah. Where it's like we can set that to random, and it is definitely, oh, that's just guaranteed because they're pressing a button. I forgot. It's not even random. Right? So this distance is really rewarding to Johnny as a character. There are some matchups you cannot just relax at this distance, right? This one is kind of one of those where if you let Ino run away and she kind of pushes you this far away, then she's just gonna do no, right? She's just gonna Tiger Knee no. Wait, is it not? Oh, it's back. Right? It's been a while, right? If you get to this distance, she'll put this out, and now the burden is on you, right? Now she gets a free approach. You kind of have to put yourself out there, jump around it, do whatever you're gonna do, right? Johnny's got a pretty good super jump for it, to be fair. Certain matchups, like I think like Soul, Kai to an extent, certain matchups you do get to just chill. Basically, if they're not good zoners, on paper you just get to chill a lot and rip K Misfiner if they start to get a little too antsy and neutral. This, you just do it. I was talking to Citrix about this. You kind of just do K Misfiner, in my opinion, until it counter hits, right? Counter hit, double dash, you get a free Oki situation. You might be level 1, but that's not really the point. You get a free knockdown. You can do whatever you want with it. You can commit, you can not commit, doesn't matter, right? But you just do this until you're like, oh, counter hit, you know. Wait, is it forced? My bad. I meant to put random. Right, doesn't hit, do 1 dash and then wait. Hits, double dash. Doesn't hit, 1 dash and wait. The reason you do 1 dash, by the way, is because you don't want to get clipped by this. Right, you see that tech forward? You only want to tech to where most of the time they'll land in this range versus you as Johnny. If you double dash, you're gonna dash and attack buttons all the time. But a lot of characters, you do this and you dash, and a lot of characters, their tech buttons just don't reach. And even if they do reach, they don't combo. Some characters do. Kai JS into 2D, Elphelt JH into like far slash should still combo. Like some characters will knock you down by hitting the air button here on tech buttons, but a lot of them won't. They'll just hit you. You'll reset, and at this range, nobody's beating Johnny. This is the range, dude. This is 5k, right? The world is your oyster. Like, it's so hard for them to stop that from happening, even on hit, that it's like, you can simplify a lot of the neutral down to like 1 hit, 1 dash, and wait. Counter hit, double dash, and then you can even, depending on the character, you can sometimes take like a walk and then get to a closer spacing and then press a button, right? That you want to learn to hang out in this range. Neutral is complex. I can't teach it to you in 20 minutes, but you understand the idea now, where it's like IADs, you crouch them. Grounded approaches, you press a button, dude. Like Johnny on reaction at this distance, most people are running, right? Most of them are running into you, and if you're uncomfortable as Johnny, if you think that they're gonna stuff you before you can press anything, then you do backdash and you press the button. It really is that simple. Like, if you see a character like this in this distance, you'll just press a button. Look at, I won the counter hit trade. That's crazy. I didn't even expect that to happen. Oh no, the ad. The classic. Can you combo this at level 1? Nah. Oh, that's why they do this, because you can't combo it. I see. Oh, you can. This character is so busted. You're back. Don't mind me. I was checking some other stuff I was curious about. But yeah. Right, this distance, like, presses something in a button, in a matchup like this, you could probably just press far slash a lot, if I had to guess. You coin once you see her kind of moving forward. Oh my god, that combo? Sure. I didn't know that had enough untech time for dash up. Right? And remember, like, at this distance, we said, like, you were getting harassed by HCL. So it's like, just represent crouching more. At this distance, you're really not that scared. It's going to take even a character like it's going to take her a while before she can get to a range where this hits you, right? So, like, right here, it's going to take her a while to actually get close enough to do anything, So it's like, even when you're in this situation, like, you could mostly just press buttons, even versus right? When you see her air dashing at you or whatever. You can't take out a counter hit coin at that distance. Yeah, I could see it. It's always crazy to see. Right? And then versus grounded opponents, when you see them moving forward with the run, just deny the, like, sacrifice the space. Just be like, all right, backdash far slash, right? Johnny plays neutral in distances where only he gets rewarded, is usually how it plays out. Only he is destroying people off of his pokes, right? Like, a leveled up Johnny, you do have the privilege of doing this and then going, oh, I hit him, right? Like, that's just how Johnny works. Other people can play off their pokes, but always for lower reward than Johnny. And it's hard to fight him in a lot of matchups because of that at the end of the day. That's a big part of why it's hard, right? One of the things I was going to say is you were very concerned about HCL out of block. And I'm not positive, but one for sure. And I didn't see enough of it that I'm like, I'm going to put it on the docket because it's such a tangible thing to learn. Like, it's so grindable. Let me see. Where's Johnny at? There he is. But you gotta grind a little bit of YYRC mid pressure. That shit is the bee's knees. There's nothing quite like it. It forces such a specific defensive response, and it catches so many things that it is absolutely worth practicing, like in learning at the beginning. I didn't see much of it in offense. I saw a bit in neutral. But I didn't see as much in offense from what I remember. Bind this. So, the thing I actually want to check is, let me check this. He's at level 2, right? I think I wanted him at level 2, yeah. Just because that's a realistic situation. See what this looks like. Yes, sir. So, you were really scared of HCL on you doing resets during your block strings, right? Like, I could tell there were a lot of moments where you were like, I don't want to just like I don't want to do dash, right? You didn't want to do something that was going to get stuffed by HCL or stuffed by a button, right? So you would do something not like this, we'll say. Oh my goodness. Right? Because yeah, if you do this and the HCL, it's like, boom, this is the end of the world, right? The big thing is you have to remember that coin is a frame trap if you do it correctly, especially like off your heavy normals and stuff. Coin is, generally speaking, a very free frame trap, right? Something like this, the HCL, you almost always just dash up and get the confirm off of it, right? P misfinder, backdash, coin toss, P misfinder, right? You know how it goes. But the big thing is if somebody is flailing a lot versus you as Johnny, like they're just doing it as soon as you special cancel, you don't have to frame trap them with misfinder cancels. You can if you want to, but almost always as Johnny, you just throw coin. Ideally kind of in this range where you want it to be kind of like coin is hitting on the later end, not that late, kind of like off of this spacing. You want it to be like descending onto them, right? You want it to still be in the higher part because you want it to do something like this. See, coin is also catching me holding up at a block, right? I cannot just hold up versus Johnny here. If I do it, coin is still close enough, it catches me on the way out. Johnny gets a free reset, right? You can do anything you want off this reset, right? I press a button, I'm going to get stuffed, right? Even if I press a button that would have normally hit Johnny's dash, right? Even if I press a crouch normal, I might block, but that's it, you know? Yeah, if you're having problems with jumping and you're starting to recognize where people jump, represent coin more to reset your pressure more, right? The hard part about Johnny is that it's very easy for a lot of characters to do what they do to a lot of Johnny players. A lot of Johnny players always accidentally do this, and it makes sense because nobody gets hit by misfiner cancels after they learn how they work. Maybe at the beginning somebody is just mashing, right? And you do this and they get hit, or you do this, hold on, you do misfiner cancel 6H that and they get hit, right? But a lot of people learn to just block Johnny, right? So if you do something as like this as Johnny, there's not a lot of reason for them not to jump here anymore. That's actually like a thing in general versus Johnny. Johnny's good at anti-airing, so if you kind of learn how to hold this spacing, it's honestly not that big a deal that some characters jump here. Some it is. Dizzy, it's a big deal. Elphelt, it can be a big deal. Milia, it can be a bit... Like, characters with crazy good mobility or good air options at escaping from these situations. It doesn't matter how good you are at anti-airing. They're not designed to get anti-aired, right? But the big thing here is, this is also why ZYYRC is important. Is because even if you have a bad habit of doing strings that look kind of like this, ZYYRC is the equalizer, right? Even if this dude learns to jump here, ZYYRC will always jail them back down, right? ZYYRC, in order to stop it, you need to do the obvious options. You need to either blitz Johnny as he's doing it, right? Or if you're good, you throw him out of it, right? Those are how you deal with it. But mashing does not work, right? Depending on your character. I was about to say this might hit, right? But a lot of the times, like this, just kills you, right? You only just YRC in neutral or Oki. I mean, it's fine, right? Like, YRC, you only get so many of them. Even as Johnny, right? I get it. Johnny's flooded in meter, right? He has no reason to use it. He's just swimming in it all the fucking time, right? That, I would say, like, it's easier said than done, but sometimes you just don't have the resources. But for sure in pressure, like when you're in these situations, if you get to 6H and you're just like, man, this guy's going to jump or this guy's going to press a button or do whatever, he's not going to let me dash in, then you have to ZYYRC. ZYYRC is the equalizer. It's how you get them to stay still, right? Once they do stay still, yeah, you can do stuff like this again, right? Like, you did ZYYRC last time, they're scared of it, you just dash up and boom. Like, look at your mid-range again, right? Your brain is stance cancel brain rotted. That's just the Johnny experience at the beginning. You have to spend so much time practicing this input. It's all you can think about. I don't even blame Johnny players. Like, the last thing you want to do is mess up and do this. That feels so bad as Johnny when you miss the cancel and you just get hit. Plus, I think it's easy for you to think like, I don't know how to frame trap without it, right? Johnny doesn't have buttons like this button. This is a weird character to show it on, but this button, 2A? No, 5H is plus on block, right? So like you do this button and this is a frame trap. It actually just naturally sets itself up, right? That's a really intuitive way to do your streams. Johnny kind of has that, but because your dash is limited, every time you're wrong on a frame trap, you push yourself a little bit, right? In other words, if you do this, far slash is a frame trap, right? 5H, miss cancel, boom, far slash is the frame trap. But every time they don't bite on the frame trap, you push yourself out a little bit. And Johnny doesn't have a run. He has a dash, right? So you need to find a way to not have them press buttons on your dash, right? Basically, the takeaway is this. It's okay if you're pushing yourself out. That's not that bad. The big thing is the best way to force people to respect you, no matter how good they are, is this option, right? This option is not your game plan. It's just essential. It's essential to keep people in the corner. Right? Once they do respect, you can do things like this. Right? Like, it's those things that make them second guess it, right? Don't feel like you have to do it with Zwei all the time, right? A big thing is this, like, if you're in this situation and you press far slash, throw a coin. Coin is also a frame trap. Throw a coin, it's a frame trap, and you dash for free, right? A lot of these mid-range moments are like, if you do something like this, we'll show two examples, direct examples, right? So, this into this, let me see if I can space this better. Actually, I'll do Kara throw to make my life easy. So, Kara throw, right, versus, right? So, Obviously, in a perfect world, you can just combo off your throw as Johnny, right? You would want to do this to people. Why wouldn't I just throw them? Well, if somebody's crazy enough, they'll just mash, right? And it's easy to think, okay, well, if they're gonna mash, then I'll press // and frame trap. But then you run into the problem of pushing yourself out when you're wrong, right? That's kind of like why these things happen. Because you recognize people are mashing, but you don't really know how to deal with it besides just //ing. Well, coin naturally frame traps. This dude presses a button on the dash, immediately gets stuffed. You don't even really have to hit confirm it. If you dash in and press a button, you'll just combo, right? That it's like, this dude presses button here every time, free reset, right? The big thing is people will learn to also not mash there. And that's also fine, because there's still more levels to it. You can use coin just to get on top of people for free and set up tick throws, right? This guy's like, I'm not going to mash into this. I learned my lesson. Oh, well, guess what? The coin is an easy way for me to get back on top of you, period. Right? If I give you the benefit of the doubt, then suddenly it's just a free tick throw, potentially, right? It's a free tick throw or it's a free shimmy, right? It's however much respect the opponent's giving you. But ultimately, the only reason you're throwing these coins is so that you get to do this again, right? You do this sequence, ooh, I get on top of you for free. I press the button again for free, right? That's a frustrating thing to deal with as the defender. I think he's going to frame trap. Oh, he didn't. Now it's a frame trap. Now I'm getting pushed out. Like, look at how the risk is cranking on this sequence, right? One sequence of I think Johnny's going to frame trap me didn't work out, right? Like, I think he's going to coin here. You know, I don't want to disrespect it. What if Johnny gets confident and dashes, right? So now it's this sequence. I get it for free off respect, right? Let's say I frame trap off this because this is plus, right? Frame trap, I'm pushing myself out. I don't want to get pushed out, right? The key is really like Johnny is playing the same game everybody else does. Everybody else has tools that do these things, but Johnny has more of them, and they're not all tied to meter, right? One of them is this is tied to meter, right? But one, he just has natural frame advantage. This is just plus, right? So he gets a lot of opportunities normally. This is also just a frame trap, but it also lets you reset for free, and it only costs 1 coin, right? People do this for 25 bar. That's why, last thing I'll say, because I'm running out of time, is like, jokingly, like, yeah, coin is 25 bar, right? Because Eno as a character will do something like this. In order for her to do the same to you, she'll have to do this, right? Cost her 25 bar to frame trap you and check a bunch of options and reset her pressure. Johnny does it for a coin. He does it for 1 coin, right? And you have 8 of them. And the more risk you crank, the less coins you need if you actually get the hit. It's a very brutal, like, position he can put you in. But yeah, in other words, like, if I was to try my best to summarize my actual, like, point, my tangible things for you to work on. Tangible things. For sure, number 1 is, like, if you're already doing a lot of this, practice ZYYRC. Hey, what's up, Bdonp? We'll start in a second. Practice ZYYRC. It's a really good reset, mostly off of 6H. You can do it off other buttons like 2S, anything that's starting to push you out really far. But that's a good one. Similarly, off of slightly closer resets, if you want an easy check on jumping, mashing, a lot of things in the game, throw a coin like that. And it's up to you. If you want to dash up, then dash up. But you don't have to. It's still just a frame trap in general. You can throw coin and then press something like 6H to hit confirm off of it. But it's just it's a safe check on a lot of things, right? So learn to use those a little bit more in your strings, and it'll force people to land on the ground again, get caught mashing. If people learn to start blocking a lot versus you, then do dash throw. That's the whole point. Now that they're scared, do dash throw, do your throw combo, right? That's the beauty of being a really busted character that has a throw combo. Shout outs to all the throw combo characters. As far as neutral goes, test the waters. If you're not fighting a zoner, hang out around here. Hang out around here and represent your crouch, right? The reason you're crouching a lot is because you're a big character, right? So you really want to minimize how big you are. If you see people running towards you, press this in place, or backdash and press either of them in place, right? Similarly, if you ever are really, really scared, throw a coin. Do the same exact thing. Coin in place, backdash, coin, etc. But the reason you don't do this all the time is because it costs a coin. But when in doubt at this distance, if you think they're going to air dash, if you think they're going to do whatever, coin is a free check. Free in the sense that it's uncontestable, not free in the sense that it costs a resource. Other than that, I thought your neutral was fine. One thing I will say, one takeaway, I saw that you are comfortable doing this. This is the best Oki he can run, period, basically, right? If you can do dash TKSY, you're living. That shit is busted, right? This is good because it stops a lot of blitz RPS because you're above them, you see it happen, you have control. That's why this is better than the normal one, right? But this is hard to do. I honestly don't think you have to do it necessarily. You can just do this if you want. Do that. It's a lot easier to do. Plus, you're going to practice that input a bit anyway. Execution is a factor. I would rather see people do something that is a little more interactive, a little less good, than something they're just gonna mess up, if that makes sense. Like, if you're comfortable doing TKSY, cool, that's fine. Totally not a problem. But my point is, like, let's say you get a hit like this, you know? Then, like, just do that. The classic is this. I was talking to Citrix about it. You actually have a lot of frame advantage. So you can usually backdash and then do the sequence like that. That's how you space it, because if you don't backdash, it's not well spaced, right? Depending on their wake up time, you can actually backdash, snap, and then do it, and it's a frame kill. Just depends on their wake up time. But hear me out, sometimes it's worth doing that. If you weren't sure how to set it up, just do backdash into it, like that. You still get a high-low, you still get everything you got before, it's just a little weaker to blitz. Right? Fucking up things is usually how you lose. Yeah, no, that's absolutely the case. And Johnny is a character that is easy to fuck up on. Absolutely. All right. A little over on the time, but good notes. Everybody gets a lot more out of me the first time they come through. I think that just kind of goes without saying. The first time you pull up, you probably get a lot more out of me than later. Hey, thanks for the follow. Yeah. You can sign up again. I always tell people, like, I'll say this for everybody that signs up. The forum is bi-weekly. There's no hard rule on no, you can't come back. If other new people sign up, they're just gonna get priority over you anyway. So it doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. That's why I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, the reason I do it is for people to come through. If you don't feel like you've learned much since the last time, then that's fine. You don't have to come through. But I know I don't feel. People might think I feel a type of way when somebody signs up a lot, and that's actually never the case. I don't really care. Land, get in on, open up. Someone willing to play patient and reactive. Okay. I think I watched this live. All right, it's time. And by that I mean I should remember to turn the timer on. Yeah, you know the vibe. It's bi-weekly. I have to see. I think Father's Day is the next one, so we might have to wait a week. I might push it, or I might push it back or push it forward. Probably push it back. I think it's gonna get pushed back 1 week potentially. We'll see. But yeah, you already know. I ping in the Discord. I put it on my blue sky. Bi-weekly. Definitely not considering until this set. Do you feel like you were still implementing stuff from last time? The set made you really confused. Yeah, we'll talk about it. See if we can. Sometimes stuff is just matchup. Like once you're at an intermediate level, we'll talk about this a little bit. Is sometimes it really is like you actually just need a tip in the matchup. You need a thing to look for in the matchup so that you can get to a point where you can use the things that you've been practicing. But I was talking about it earlier. Like matchups are so neutral heavy. Like all of it, neutral is so matchup based that you need to adjust how you're approaching the neutral, right? Sometimes you just don't get opportunities, period, right? So it's like, how would you ever, you know? And it's as simple as somebody telling you, yeah, try this instead. Gone flame, good run up. Okay. Oh, my goat, 2D. Safe jump works out. Damn, Slayer's wide, that hit still. Can't wake up. With 2S, RPS City. Oh, it misses the 6P. But this is already an awkward spot, yeah. He has so much meter that he's just going to check you in neutral over and over again for free. Yep. That makes sense. Oh, this is tough. Even with all this meter, it's going to be really hard to make the comeback versus a character with the reversal. Oh, that sucks. Nice call out. Miss BDC input. Caught. I think that might have been a true block string on regular block. Actually, let me check something before I forget. Since I'm already looking at it, I might as well. Yeah, I think that is the case. Okay. I see what you mean. So we'll talk about it. I haven't been doing it while watching as much because I feel like it starts to tank the pacing of an analysis a lot. But we'll do it because this seems more matchup based than it is like general advice based. But basically, in my head, if you're playing this kind of neutral, where you're kind of in this mid range, this is Soul's favor, in my opinion. You actually want to get a little closer. Dandies are cool, but they don't really do anything for you at this distance, right? Like, it's been a minute. Hold on, let's bust it out. So, the big thing here is, where's my whiteboard? Oh my god, it's been so long. Been so long since we whiteboarded. But this is easier to like show with the display. Window projector. Alright. So you're standing like at this distance, right? And you actually don't want to stand there most of the time. So, Gunflame will hit you if you're closer, but Gunflame has travel time. It goes to about like here, we'll say. It usually goes like, it's like the 3 pillars. It's like 1, 2, 3, and the third one's like around here, right? The big thing is you actually don't want to stand. Hold on, I forgot I have to open up like a little side thing to reset my script. So the big thing is when you're at this distance, Slayer's lack of ability to like close a really big gap is a problem, right? In other words, like this thing exists on the floor, so if you commit to K-Mappa here, you're absolutely getting duffed, right? Like that's his only gap closer on the floor. But the thing is if you get to around here, your air dash clears it perfectly, right? The big thing is if you're standing from over here, if you did an air dash, you're gonna land around here or so, and that's not helpful. You're either landing into Gunflame or you're not reaching Soul, right? One or the other. So in my opinion, and the big thing is like Soul's range, let's say this is like Soul standing in neutral where he's at. Soul's range is actually only about like this far on average, because this is his far slash, and then this like top line is his 5H. It's like slightly farther. That might actually be too far for 5H, honestly. But the point is, this is his range anyway, right? So I'm telling you, you want to stand around like here. You want to stand slightly outside the range of Soul's pokes if they're relying on like Gunflame spam, because the idea is you start to play a little bit of a Street Fighter game where if you're hanging out here and they Gunflame right as you air dash, they're toast. That's a punish, right? But the problem is the farther you are from Soul, the less reason he has to not Gunflame you, right? Because you don't have a way of jumping, going over, and then punishing it like another character would. That's like the big thing here, right? And you can dandy here, like it'll build meter, and that's cool, sure. But the problem, like I said, is like as you're doing this, like you want it to be more like that distance that you dashed into, right? Like around a little further actually is still like the case, right? Like there, that distance that you jumped from is where you want to kind of stand. Let's knock down. Nice blitz. Nice call out on the blitz. I mean, this is working out, and sometimes, I mean, bracket is different, right? People's decision making is a little skewed off nerves. But me personally, I'm not too big a fan of RPSing with a character that has a DP as Slayer. I mean, it turns the interaction into one or the other on average, but the point is it's kind of hard to bait a DP the same way it is like, well, you could just press close slash and they have to respect it on hit, or they blitz or bite. Like DP is going to beat a lot of things here, right? It's going to beat the bite. It's going to beat like if you did an overhead after. It's going to beat if you dandied maybe, depending on what you picked, right? Well, not dandy. It won't be dandy. But the point is, like, the RPS here is a little scary, right? Because bite will probably lose to DP, right? And so will strike, so it forces you to kind of block. Good catch on the 2D. This is going to hit 6H. Nah, it's too heavy. Helter, yeah, that was good. That was good on him. I'm assuming he tried to DP us, but technically he missed it because he got heavy DP. So in other words, if you had stayed same side, he would have like gotten hit doing something. He would have gotten hit pressing 5H. Because if the OS is done correctly, it should show as DP, not HDP. As far as I know. Gets the low. Nice. Nice. So this range, actually, round start is close. It's actually a little too close. But this is pretty close to, like, the range I'm talking about. It's actually more... Let's go back a couple frames. It's actually more, like, around... Like, if this is the distance you start at round start, you want to be, like, here. You want to be, like, right here. Or if you stand here, then you're basically out of the range of, like, most of Soul's pokes. Your air dash should still reach him with, like, jump kick. It might actually still reach him with jump H, but jump H is kind of ambitious. But jump kick should reach from there, I want to say. Nice dash through. I hate when that shit goes through my button. Oh, that sucks. That's just unlucky. Full backdash. I like that. Oh, low profile frames. Unfortunate. 6H. Nice DP. This is already, it's not the worst. It's pretty chill. Yeah, we'll talk about, I have to test it. I'm not positive, but we'll look at it in training. But there's something I want to test on defense for some Oki situations too. Pretty sure I know how it works, but like, I want to make sure I'm not wrong. HGP. There's also one thing I will say in terms of when you're running your offense versus like learn specifically in the set. There's something that's come up a couple times that's important to remember. Actually, let me go back. I want to see this a little more. Offense. H. Holding space. Yeah. The big thing here is I actually don't think you need to dandy in neutral too much versus soul. Once you get to this range where you're like whiffing the spun, it's pretty good. Like this range is already pretty solid because all your pokes kind of hit and he doesn't convert without meter anyway. So even when you get hit off pokes, not a big deal, right? And your air dash is very potent here if for whatever reason he's been gun flaming a lot. Boom. 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 Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. 6H. Oh, that's a crazy Fafnir out of block. So this is why it has to be closer. Well, he also has plus here, so it's a little different. But in general, like, yeah, this is just because he's plus. This range isn't that bad, but this is still a slight too far. Like, slightly too far. That it's like off the frame advantage alone, he's basically getting the anti-air here, which is unfortunate. A lot of this is just learning to play in a range where Gunflame carries risks on it, right? He can't just do this all the time. Gunflame YRC is just Gunflame YRC. Oh, it's really high up. Yeah, that's a throw. Redash. All right, resets. Misses the tick throw. It doesn't matter. DP? No, I thought he'd DP on the reset. No, this 2D anti-air is paying bills. Yeah. So this is kind of like cherry picking because this is out of like block and not technically like from neutral what I was talking about. But this is the interaction you're fishing for. This is why you want to hang out closer to him so that gunflames aren't always free, basically. Just mash. Guess for game. Yeah, I got caught jumping. I see. Yeah, we'll look at some of these a little more so it seems like we have time. Yeah, we got a solid like 20 or so minutes. But I know that this matchup can feel really frustrating depending on like where the Slayer player is at in the learning curve. I think once you get to the later end, I think it's probably a really chill matchup for Slayer. Outside of like Gunflame is still kind of annoying until the end of time. But it feels, I think Slayer, generally speaking, this is not always true, but in my opinion, like Slayer is usually kind of chilling versus characters that don't do well off of their pokes. You know, I think Slayer generally hates it when somebody has a poke that converts into, let's say, a knockdown or like damage or good Oki. Like, Slayer does a lot better when people are nickel and diming him. And they never force him onto the floor or... It's usually that, honestly. It's mostly getting forced onto the floor. Because what it means is when these characters nickel and dime you, all you have to learn is where they're resetting their offense, even if they're plus on block. Slayer doesn't really care about that concept the same way other people do, right? So we'll give an example of like something like this. Even if it hits you in neutral, quite literally on hit, I'm pretty sure. You might still be able to air dash here and get it punished. Yeah, see? Like even on hit. Even on hit, you could take this guess. Not that I'm saying to do this, but my point is the fact that this is how it works for Slayer is a pretty chill, like, setup. Right? That it's like, you could just air dash here. I guess it has to be JS. Oh, shit. Oh, it's so much hits on. I gotta get, like, used to the timing. Right? But the big thing is, we'll show kind of what I'm talking about. Where, like, at this distance, you're a little close in the sense that, like, if you were to sit still, Gunflame will hit you. But you shouldn't really wait. If you see Gunflame come out and you didn't react, like, it's just one of those where it's like anything would hit the Gunflame here, right? Like 5H, you're playing this footsies game here, right? Where it's like, this is a little too close, my bad. You're playing this like footsies game where his range doesn't really hit you. But your air dash JH connects, right? So like this, if you time it correctly, like, oh shit, maybe it is a little closer than I think. I thought it was farther. I thought it was like over here. Slayer's air dash is really short. Yeah, my bad. Probably more like here, which is fine because like I said, 5H is like the only thing that hits you. And you might actually be able to stand outside that range a bit. Damn, that is big. I thought that was smaller. Let me see. Take a look. Let me take a look. Yeah. So like this range shouldn't hit me. Yeah. This, obviously the game is fast. You do not get to stay here for more than maybe a half a second. But if you had to pick the perfect range, it's probably this versus Soul. Like in terms of playing the neutral, in terms of grounded footsies, it's got to be like, it's right outside the range of 5H. Like right here. Right? Because that's his farthest reaching normal he's going to be pressing. And if you get this timing, you get a punish. Right? The big thing is when you're over here, once you start to be about this far, you don't have a good way to punish Gunflame. You just don't, unless you do something like this, right? And it's just like, that's going to be really hard to be like consistent with, to guess when he's going to do this and get something like that. That's hard, man. More often than not, you'll just have to like see the Gunflame happen and let it happen. Because even if you were to air dash, like you're not going to really reach him a lot of the times. You might if you're lucky. Yeah, it's pretty generous. It just depends. You might not get a knockdown, though, is the problem. But the big thing is the further you are, the worse it actually ends up being in terms of getting around Gunflame. Because if you block Gunflame at a distance, Soul's probably just going to run forward. He gets to at least try to RPS with you a bit, right? That learning to hang out in a range where your air dash is threatening enough that they have to respect it, that it's like, yeah, you'll finally get to, like, now you finally will get to, like, Dandy in, you know? Or Mappa in, right? The idea is, like, most of the time you're probably used to sending it on Mappa every now and then, right? Most Slayers are. That's just how he works, right? The good old-fashioned forward dash cancel Mappa, right? But if there's an obstacle course in the way at this distance, it's never going to work, right? So you need to learn to hang here. And then all your tools will start to slowly kind of come back more likely than not. Another thing I was going to check, not that it really is like a big deal, but let me record it and see. Because I want to say this happened like once or twice maybe. You blocked this, and I'm almost positive Slayer doesn't have to. If you see Soul do... I could be wrong. Don't quote me. He might be able to Fafnir or do something, but I'm almost positive. If you see Soul do 2D and then manually time Gunflame meaty, it doesn't travel far enough. I'm pretty sure that full backdash, maybe not though, let me see. Or maybe this will get me out. I'm like almost positive you don't have to block this if you do it correctly. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm tripping. That goes way farther than I thought. Never mind. Because in my head, I was like, I don't think you have to respect this. Oh, it's been so long. Yeah, or you can get out. Yeah. I think BDC jump might actually just be pretty consistent there. Yeah, so. Because Slayer should not really get okied that hard by Soul. Like, if Soul runs a certain type of Oki, or like certain things like high JPs like this will shut you down if you did commit to a BDC input of any kind, right? Even in the middle of the screen, they tend to do that. But if it's stuff like regular safe jump, you know, like regular safe jump JH, or like the Gunflame Oki, right, like this. The difference is, I guess, how far he gets it. If it looks like if he gets it off of a farther confirm like this, these should be the ones where I'm pretty sure you can just like full backdash out. Let me see. Let me see. That's too early. I'm trying to get this like mid-rangey. There it is. I think this is the one where it's like when they're at this distance, you just hold it, and I think now you get out because there's only 2 pillars that are gonna hit you instead of 3. No, never mind. Okay, always BDC jump. I was wrong about that. Always BDC jump. But it looks like BDC jump's pretty solid. At worst, it looks like that's gonna happen. And that's assuming they get the spacing for it. Or if they don't and they do something more like what I did the first time, like this. This one just looked like you could get out. Maybe not this one. I wonder if you can forward jump here and get out. It's kind of an ugly input. Nah, it's not gonna work. All right. You get the idea, though. I don't think you should hold Oki. Another thing I was going to tell you, by the way. I think you ought to block and catch them with BDC bite a lot. You should not be doing that. Well, the thing is depending on how Soul does it, I think he can just make the string frame tight. He's pretty plus off of these. I forgot to set it up. I'll do it before the next one, like for real, for real. I don't have the fancy frame data shower, but I do have the regular one. Hold on. Like the old one. Where is Rev2 lab tool? And we can see, just like for the sake of it, he's just really plus that if you block it, sometimes 2k 2d or like microdash 2k 2d will be a true block string. Let's see. Yeah, he's plus 10 there. So certain things will just be like true block strings. And he can be even closer than that, right? So like here, even if I try to like BDC, we'll see if it has a gap because I should be able to blitz it. Oh, it has like just barely. Yeah, maybe you're right. Just a player thing, I say. But yeah, worth considering. I think mostly the neutral was the problem. Another thing I was actually gonna say, this is like a player tool. This is a player, or not player tool. This is a player to player type of thing. But you have to recognize how people are escaping your pressure, right? Or what people are representing. The thing is it's very tempting to do this and think, all right, well, I have to do this. You know, like I have to do BDC or whatever, right? Because that's the go-to. But something you fail to consider is that Learn got out of your pressure essentially every time by just holding up, right? And 6H is designed to punish people holding up, right? The idea is that the reason you wouldn't want to 6H into 6H is because it's fake. It's fake in the sense that, like, if I do something like this, and I do this, right? Like, you know, this standard string, right? The problem is if I was to 6H again, that's not real, you know? Not real in the sense that, like, yeah, he can press any button, right? He can press any button and it's just going to interrupt me. The thing was, he didn't do that. Learn almost never pressed the button at a block on average. He almost always jumped, right? He almost always waited for you to do this sequence. Then you would dandy and he would jump, right? The idea is that you have to put yourself out there a little bit and you have to realize, yeah, this guy just jumps. That's how he gets out every time. So this interaction came up like a handful of times. He would block everything out. He'd block here. Then he would do this and just get out, right? He would just like wait or JP on the resets, where these moments are actually good moments to just put yourself out there a little bit. Go, yeah, he's just going to jump, right? And you'll catch them waiting, right? People learn the patterns in your offense and then start fishing really hard on escapes, right? And the only way to punish them for it is to break those patterns, even if they're on paper not the right decisions, right? Like, hey, I'm not plus here. Like, why would he respect me? It's because he's waiting for other stuff, you know? That it's like, if people are jumping out of your pressure a lot, but not really pressing buttons, do a lot of 6H. Like, do it again, you know? Do it again. And it's like, especially because in order for them to not get hit by that, they have to, like, really hold up. They have to do it, like, right now to get out. If they wait even a little bit, right? Because they're waiting for dandy, and then they jump, they're gonna have to block it. Right? That's why 6H is so brutal in that situation, right? And then when they block it high up here, now you dandy, right? You actually thought this, but you never implemented it ever. It's hard to be out of your comfort zone. Legit, like, Street Fighter pressure. I wouldn't consider it Street Fighter pressure necessarily so much as it's... Fighting games are all about picking the correct decision, essentially, right? It doesn't matter how you boil it down, at what point or where, but at some point, like, you just have to be right, you know? It doesn't matter what the numbers are, you know? It really is a social construct sometimes on some of this shit. That being right is a lot more important. If you recognize that you can be right and call something out and you have the tool to do it, you have to do it, right? You can't give people non-existent credit, you know? Learn didn't press any buttons. He doesn't deserve to have the credit of he might mash on this, you know? The big thing that's funny to me is, like, you only have to do it like one time, right? In other words, like, you only have to do something like this once, right? You do this, you wait, you do it again, and now you dandy step. And the fucked up part is if for whatever reason, if they didn't If those dudes didn't faultless defense at any point in these strings, he's at 70% risk, dude. It is unreal how high the risk is. That it's like, you could touch him with anything as Slayer and he's gonna die probably. Right? And that's the punishment. That's the punishment of waiting around like this. And being like, oh, and well, now I'm gonna jump, you know? There's also a lot to be said about... It's all how much respect they give you, right? In other words, like, if they're clearly waiting for Dandy to get out, you could do 6H, right? You could do 6H throw, even though I don't think it's, like, smart. Even that is kind of a stretch. 6H into dash up throw is kind of a stretch. But you absolutely can do something like 5k dash throw, you know? Where it's all the little, like, in-between points in your pressure. You need to start to create reasons for them to not sit around like that, right? And once you introduce them... That's it. You just go back to doing some other stuff, right? You don't need to make it your whole game plan. It's just the representation that's important. That is how fighting games work, right? A little bit of this will get them to do other stuff, which is ultimately what you wanted, right? The reason you do stuff like this as Slayer, in general, not you, but you know what I mean, like in general, is because it's safe, right? It's very safe. It catches a good amount of things, and it's just a very safe way to get back to where you want to be as Slayer, right? The downsides are it's very down backable. There's nothing actually happening. Yeah, you have frame traps because you have gaps, but eventually somebody learns better than to press a button like on Slayer stuff, right? Eventually somebody stops mashing here because it just doesn't make sense. Like, I always get counter hit here. I'm going to stop mashing, you know? So you need to start to do things that are risky. You know, it's the only way to get people to interact with you again. But for sure, use 6H like that a lot more. The more people wait around and respect you, the more 6H is important, because 6H is the button that stops people from going up and above Slayer all the time, right? Slayer covers the ground just fine, right? Via Dandy, via 5K, 5H, 2H. This distance is not bad for Slayer. The problem is when people do this, right? If jab isn't hitting, Slayer doesn't have a normal run. So in order for you to chase these things down, you have to teleport, then press a button, etc., right? It's very hard to catch characters, let alone the characters that have more air options, right? That the only thing that keeps people from going up and around you all the time is this button, right? This button, and if you're Crocs and Socks, a lot of air redash resets, right? But for the most part, 6H is the button for it. It's also very punishing to block. It's about like 10%, 15% of the risk bar every time. Block 2 of these, like 30% risk. It's insanely punishing to just regular block, right? That I would say in general, not just versus Soul and Learn because he was jumping out a lot. Be more confident in recognizing when people try to just jump out of the patterns in your offense and just represent this normal, and then you can still dandy. If you're not comfortable hit confirming, just dandy off of it anyway, dude. Like it's not gonna change much. But more often than not, I find Slayers are pretty ready for the hit confirm. If you do this and you see the dandy hit, then you'll probably just pile bunker. Or the 6H hit, you'll just bunker right away. Get like half their health bar. Yeah, learn to play in those distances. Oh, I didn't say this. For real, this is like, if we're making like 3 bullet points, one of them is actually, whenever you're feeling a little uncomfortable in a matchup, I mean, it's just hard execution, period. It's hard execution, period. But something to remember, and I think it's important to like actually take the time to do this, especially for matchups that you're like, man, I'm having a hard time in this matchup. If BDC is like a viable option, you should go look at that character's combos. You don't necessarily have to learn their combos. You might have to, but probably not. Look at what move they use to knock you down, right? In other words, hit up the training mode and have Soul do this to you, and then run the safe jump. And have Soul do this to you, and then run the safe jump. The reason is that you have different face up and face down timings, and you really want to start to internalize slowly over time which knockdowns are giving you what, so that you actually know which timing to fish for, right? Because games are so fast, you might not realize like this is a different knockdown, right? This versus this, they're different knockdowns. You have to do your reversal timing differently as Slayer, right? Where it's like same thing with like, what is Fafnir and a Fafnir? Without actually looking, do you know what Fafnir and a Fafnir gives you? Is it face up or is it face down, right? I'm going to be honest, I don't remember. My guess, just based on how the game works, is Fafnir's probably face up. But let's find out. Face up, right? Does that make sense? Or it's like, you need to be ready for like, if because characters only have so many combo enders anyway, that you might as well go like, all right, time to learn what each of these knockdowns is. That way, when you get hit by Fafnir, you tell yourself, this is my slow wake-up timing that I'm BDCing, not my fast wake-up timing, right? This might sound really obvious and really tedious to practice, but the reason I mention it, for like, yeah, you should practice this, is just so that you don't have to worry about that, right? Like, learn it once, practice it a bit, so that you have a good feel for it, and then it's yours till like the end of time, right? If that makes sense. That I would actually go and do that, especially for characters like Soul, where they do kind of vary their knockdowns a little bit. Fafnir, Oki, your love. I should do more Fafnir, Oki. It's a good one. I would definitely add that. I would add that to the list of like, yeah, fuck it. It's a really easy thing to practice in different matchups, especially depending. You don't have to do the actual combo, right? You don't have to do a combo that ends in Fafnir. You can just do Fafnir into Fafnir and then time something that looks like a safe jump, right? And then you're good. Right? It's all about the ender. I will save you a little bit of homework, which is really obvious. It's pretty obvious, but it's worth mentioning. All the sweeps in the game, as far as I know, all the sweeps are face down. If you ever get swept like this, it's your face down timing. Right? That is like basically a hard rule. So you don't have to really like one by one the characters in the game. Also, generally speaking, anything that is like a special move type like combo enter knockdown is face up. Right? These kind of are like really easy to figure out. They're really not designed to be complicated. Usually people's combo enders, like their actual proper B&B enders, tend to be face up knockdowns, but that's not always true. Like I think DP is face up, yeah, but it's hard to tell, right? Because it's like some DPs don't make sense leaving you in face up, right? Hold on, I keep getting like Discord messages in my ear. I gotta mute the server. It's driving me nuts. Venom changes that, you think? I don't know. Again, it depends, right? Like, what's the knockdown off of Q5 hit if you don't do a combo off of it? I don't know. It's probably face up, but it might be face down. Sweeps are always face down. Fast hitting moves, right? Like, so like stun edge and certain other things are also fast knockdowns. Rokon Sogi, Baiken's slashing move or whatever, it's face down. They treat them like sweeps because they're easy knockdowns to get, right? I think Venom changes. Venom, you gotta delay your jump for a frame. Oh, well, yeah. You guys are... That's because of his wake-up timing. That's not... I thought you meant, like, other stuff changes, right? You finally had free time and no footage. Get bodied. See you in 2 weeks. Potentially 3, because I haven't checked if Father's Day is in 2 weeks. But yeah, go practice. Go look at some timings. Same with air throws. Air throws are actually a lot more ambiguous. These are kind of weird. I think some air throws aren't face up from what I've noticed, but a lot of them are. Like, I think Answer's air throw is face down timings, but air throws are randomly different, like, different knockdown ones. I want to say, grounded throws are, like, always face up. But my point, again, my point is, like, when you're studying some defense in a matchup, you might as well check some of the knockdowns, especially as a character like Slayer. It's really important to have some of that defense just, like, automated for you. Not worry about some of these scrambly moments, right? Yeah. If I was to say, we're pretty much running out of time anyway, so if I was to summarize, it was basically like, learn to hang out in this range, in my opinion, versus Soul. His pokes generally don't convert without meter anyway. Gunflame is not something he's willing to always rip in this distance because air dash is such a threat, right? If you're scared of what to do, well, this is the range where you can Mappa, right? 2H is kind of but it's okay, right? Like button like 5H is okay. The big thing is like from here, it's okay to dandy, right? Dandy will put you right on top of him. But the problem is if you're dandying from farther, then he's kind of just gonna gunflame anyway, right? So you want to get to around here, and then play the neutral however you feel like you should, basically. But make sure you're not too far. Use your 6H more for catching people jumping. It's important. It's basically how you catch people jumping. There really isn't like any other good way to do it as Slayer. That's why this button is so obnoxiously good. It's because he needs it, right? Jokes aside, he does need it, right? I don't remember what else I was gonna say. Because it's those 2 points. I think it was mostly those two, honestly. Like learning where to stand, using your 6H more, and then you don't have to change your block strings up all that much. I really do think if you just caught more jumping, then you would have been fine. You didn't really need a reset. Learn was pretty ready to mash anyway. They likes the 2H in this matchup a lot. If Soul's gonna 2D or Gunflame a lot, that makes sense because if you snipe the Gunflame, you just get the counter hit. I think again the big thing is that you don't get punished hard. Even if this is blocked, Soul never punishes this for a lot of value anyway, so it doesn't make a difference, right? A lot of what I think Slayer gets away with in this matchup is the fact that at this distance, it's not that Slayer converts better necessarily. They both kind of need meter. But I think Slayer gets he gets poked and he'll just do this on hit, you know? Like, he gets to gamble on hit a lot more than Soul does. He might get hit by a poke and then just do this, right? And that's just kind of what Slayer gets to do a bit of. He's also a lot better at boxing, he's also a lot better at holding Soul kind of around here a lot of the times with buttons like 6H and 2H. Where Soul's only option is like 5H, and Soul can't really keep Slayer locked down exactly the same. Is much more uncomfortable for the Soul to get the hit in that range for sure. Yeah, I think it just plays out that way on average. Definitely standing too far in that set, and I would strongly recommend pulling up a little closer. Use your 6H more. I really didn't think I noticed anything else. I don't think you need any other, like, I don't think you're at a point where like you need much other advice. It would just be like bits and pieces. Like I said, practice your reversal timings. It really is important for Slayer. You don't want getting hit by all those safe jump JHs, whether it was a miss blitz or whether it was a miss backdash, is like, that feels awful, man. It just feels really bad, you know? That you want to try to minimize it as much as possible, obviously. All right. One more for the road, gentlemen. Pull up Gnoz. All right. What's up, Gnoz? I think you're like the one person that didn't write anything specific to look for. Alright, cool. Also, this is one of your juicy sessions that's like 80 minutes long. So we're going to do the classic. I'm just going to skip to like halfway through. And we're going to watch probably about like, I don't know, 4 to 5 games of it. This is a good one. I hate this matchup. I can't stand this matchup as answer. But it takes a while. It takes a while to learn it. There are some things that are important to remember in this matchup for her. He got way too ambitious on that combo. Attack is good at this matchup, so it's hard. Absolutely. If you hate a matchup, chances are you grinded it really hard. Because you hate it. You hate losing to the people that get to farm you. Nice catch on him. Answer is also a little tricky to teach people. Well, he's very tricky to teach people. A lot of it is very founded in learning how to defend versus answer. Learning how to defend versus answer or kill answer once you finally get to. Both of which are hard to do when you're like in the intermediate point of the learning curve. Oh, so spooky. He's got a lot of meter. He's probably going to backdash cardwire C. Something along those lines. Nice tick throw. Skills. Boom. Boom. Oh, bad on him. Yeah. I'll talk about it as I'm launching, but I think the name of the game to this matchup a lot of the times is really just understanding that basically everything Answer tends to want to do in terms of whiff punishing, in terms of a lot of things like pressure, they are mids, and on average, Hochifu almost never gets baited for good value. Like, it just, even if he's baiting it, it's rarely for good value, and we'll talk about it. Swept. That was a not meaty overhead. I think he was trying to safe jump Hochifu. I don't know. Things are getting kind of wild. This looked like a desync, even though I know it didn't. I like max charge Ryujin. It's actually pretty good on defense. I'm not sure if Jam has much of a preference on a card in this matchup. I think it's kind of fine to pick any card. Nice backdash. Safe jump. That is a safe jump. You have to be careful. Thumbtack runs a lot of initial safe jumps versus Jam. Or if you're picking like DP or Hochifu on wake up, like it'll probably safe jump it. That said, you can always just blitz. Nice air throw. Throw again, but no knockdown is no big deal, honestly. As answer here, I probably just air dash out. Oh, delay tech is scary. This doesn't work on Jam. I like backing off. 6H is an interesting one in this matchup. I do think the thing that Answer is on average having an okay time, like he has a pretty good time playing the neutral versus Jam. It's once she gets a certain distance that things get kind of scary. Air dash back in. The classic, I don't respect you, I don't respect your offense. Your Oki's whack, your pressure's whack, air dash back in. Your neutral's whack. This does not kill. He got a little ambitious, a little too different on the route. This kills. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Stance whack. Well, this is footsies. Okay. Big opener. Some pressure resets. I like the frame trap. I will say, I haven't really seen it as much, but don't forget, I remember I mentioned it last time. Don't forget to use more, if you're doing 5k into 5k frame trap, you might as well lock in 5H every now and then. So you get an easy hit confirm here. Because you're never hit confirming 5k like on reaction really. So you might as well do 5k, 5k, 5H like right there sometimes. That way you get rewarded more frequently. In other words, if you actually expect them to mash, press 5k. When you finally expect, or sorry, 5H. When you finally expect them to actually mash on the 5k frame traps, do a 5H after the 5k. But only when you finally expect it. If you want to do 3 of them in a row before you frame trap, like before you commit, go for it. Oh, misses the cling. Yeah, a little too high. Forward dash. Oh, this won't combo, I think, will it? Oh, it did? Wow. It's a funky route. Super? Yep. I was actually like very close to not comboing, just in terms of untech time, and she's got kind of a weird hurt box. Hold on, make sure. I think I started the timer. Although we kind of know. No, I didn't. We kind of know when this one's supposed to end anyway, but I don't know. You might get like an extra 5 minutes. It is what it is. Probably not, though. I'm just going to assume we've been watching for about 5 minutes. It's probably been about 5 minutes. That trade's good for answer. Respects your reversals there, but you don't bite. I see a lot of trying to jump into scroll dashes to throw them. It's not... It's kind of like not the best idea on average, I think. Yeah, I should do that more. He's actually so real for doing that. I actually need to add that to my repertoire as an answer player. It's such a funny anti-air and people don't expect. And it's plus on block anyway, if they land into it. That I should actually do anti-air super a little bit more. Alright, we'll watch this one and we'll watch one more. Okay. I like slowing it down in neutral. Like I said, I actually think neutral is where answer will have his best chance at jam. I think it's where he gives her the hardest time by far. I do think she has some sneaky ways of really like scaring him out of just trying to be runaway man all the time, but it's not very like concrete. Like they're more like concepts to keep in mind than it is like, yeah, just do this. I like that he's just jailing you into the corner. He's holding space. You have a lot of meter to show. Let's see what happens. I think that's a safe jump that he's opting for, but it's kind of hard to tell. A lot of pressure resets. Finally gets the hit. You should die if he does the right combo here. Alrighty, dead angle. Still have a lot of meter. Card wire seam. Nice 2D. Bait the throw. Knockdown card. I like DP cross up. This doesn't quite kill, I don't think. Because you can't get the pickup after Puff Puff. Wow, Puff Puff killed. Bet. 0 guts in action. I thought he would live Puff Puff and then you don't really get anything after. Man, I hate this matchup. Nice. Good catch. Oh, that was a really good Morikami. Dive kick's putting in the work. Nice mash from him. Yeah. Again, that's not... So, these moments, if you see, like, shit that looks like this is kind of like a general rule. Not just for her, kind of for everybody versus answer. If something is safe jumping you, right? Let's say you pick Hochifu here or DP, and this sequence just baits it, right? I don't think that baits DP. It doesn't look like it does, but it might. Depends. If it's a safe jump, stand in place and just tap blitz. Like reversal, tap blitz, the stand blitz. We'll just check it. That's how safe jumps work, right? You're never out of options in a game like this a lot of the times. Well, that's not true. But versus safe jumps, you can absolutely blitz them to interact back. Gonna stomp on top of you. Double set or one set? Oh, nice block on the cross side. Sometimes that's just Hochifu, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of hits before the combo, which means, yeah, that should have comboed, but it was tighter than it needed to be. A lot of meter. 2D Abara does not find its mark. I should look up. Actually, I don't know if I really want to drive to Little Tokyo and hang out with my friends. It's kind of late. I think the moment has passed, unfortunately. All right, touchdown into DPing the fake safe jump. Got to learn how to interact with counter. We'll do as fast of a. She just gets 2D and it hits sometimes. Yeah, I mean his pressure is really complicated. That's the tricky part. He's probably one of the most complicated ones to understand in the game in terms of his options and like how they slightly vary. Dude, I know driving to Little Tokyo is bad, and I live far. That it's like I'm gonna look this up, and if it's solidly over an hour, I'm not doing it. Oh, it's only an hour, dude. Fuck. Why couldn't it be more? Nah, but by the time I go, you're back from ads. You're good. All I said is the answers pressure is probably some of the hardest to understand in the game in terms of like how he can slightly vary it. They're all very similar looking things that come at different rhythms, basically. $5.99 for uninterrupted coaching. That's how I get them, dude. That's how you get them. This is fine if you're Thumbtack. He's just walling out. He's just walling out. Getting checked by scroll. We'll talk about some basic answer rundown stuff too. I think is important to remember. Oh, just kill, bro. Why you should have just done super, dog. Doesn't get anything. Doesn't get on him to not fall for the Hochifu. 5H? Oh, you can absolutely 5H there. It works out. He gets where he needs to. Same old, same old. Respecting the parry. Nice throw on the Moari Komi. That's a safe jump, but not on DP, I think. Only on Hochifu. Dead. Awfully... He keeps anti-airing with it. He's got the right idea. I really do need to try that more. It's definitely a good one-time trick. Alright. Let's talk about a little bit of answer crash course. Jam gets a lot of opportunities versus answer more than everybody else, but we'll kind of talk about it maybe from a generalized perspective to start, just to be like consistent. Ultimately, I do think, with the exception of her, because she has so much possibilities, like versus his offense, I think most people really should just focus on trying to kill Answer when he's knocked down, or when he doesn't have his resources up. I really do think that is by far when the character is at his worst. You know, that's when he's the most scared. The moment he does this, he's not that scared. He has very good value on a lot of things on average. So we'll talk about one interaction real quick. We'll talk about this. Actually, I have to do it like this. So when Answer parries, right? So just in general, these scrolls, the way it works is the moment Answer touches a scroll, he gets, if I'm not mistaken, 9 frames of strike invincibility. Only strike. You can throw him the moment he touches scrolls. The moment he dashes, I want to say it's basically instant, if not instant. That the moment he dashes, he has only throw invincibility. But while he is dashing in this hitbox, he is invulnerable to throws. So you can't actually air throw these. You can air throw the follow-ups, technically. You can air throw these, but it doesn't really come up much. But you can do it. I would never like really advise it as a game plan of any kind versus Answer. But in case you ever wonder why sometimes it looks like you throw him out of the dash, that's why. His follow-ups, the parry, the overhead, the low, but obviously the low's on the floor, so it's a little weird. The low also has full invincibility, I think, a little later, but not at the start. And the stomp do not have in like the throw invul that the scroll dash works, right? So another thing is that's just how the scrolls work, right? When he touches them, he can do his follow-ups in any order, right? He can do a follow-up directly from the scroll, or he can dash and do a follow-up from the dash. That's how it works, right? He can also opt to just manually get off of them. Not super important, but that's how he gets off without doing any follow-ups, right? His counter is it's strike. It's actually only strike invul. It's not actually throw invul. It doesn't generally matter because you would have to be a psychopath to do this to counter. But you can technically air throw his counter. It is like airborne. It's just like, as you can see, it's like insanely low altitude throw, and it's basically never worth it. But you can throw it. It's only strike invul, right? It only triggers on hits. It's also low profilable, right? So buttons like this will always dodge it. If answer is parrying and you know he's gonna parry, lows will always go through it like that, and he's always counter hit recovery. So let's say you do something like this, you'll always get counter hit there, right? Doesn't matter too much because you can't really get 6H ever as jam. It just takes too long. You would have to just hard read it, wait, and then time into the end lag, and you would get it, right? Not super important. Basically, it's low profilable normally. We're going to talk about how this is changing, right? Normally, if you trigger the counter, it hits you right above if it's in neutral. If it's like in his neutral, like from the ground state, it comes directly from where he is. If he was on a scroll, Jam can't really show this because she doesn't have a projectile. But if you do this and you parry and somebody hits it, it actually tracks to wherever they get hit from. So like, for example, I might be able to show it with like this. See how he actually hits me instead of being right where he starts. If you parry from a scroll, like specifically from on top of a scroll, it tracks to the opponent now instead of being directly above answer. I think that's also true if he's dashing, but I honestly don't remember. It like never comes up. But if you Ryujin it, it'll just track to wherever she is when she Ryujins. I would imagine he might land into it, is my guess, right? You can check. Yeah, see? So she was there when she hit him, and then he tracks to that point, right? And she just moves so fast that she dodges it, right? Counter, when it's on scrolls, the interaction is kind of straightforward. If there is a scroll above answer, do not press a mid. Like, bait him countering, right? If there's a scroll here, do not press something that triggers the counter because he will teleport to the scroll, essentially, right? But he can't do that if you don't do it, right? So, like, if there's one above him, almost always just go low until they give you a reason not to. That way they don't get the free out. If there's one directly above him, it gets a little interesting. When he goes into the parry with the scroll above him, he immediately gets the 9 invul strike frames, right? He's strike invincible for 9 frames, but scroll dash is 10 frames startup. In other words, if you were to press something that's whiff cancelable, basically he won't trigger the counter because that's what he used to cling. The scroll cling cancels the counter. So there is no counter despite what it looks like visually. It's really weird. But the thing is even though he wants to scroll dash here like this, there's not enough invul to do it. If you press something whiff cancelable, you'll hit him in the last frame of it, right? The tricky part is a lot of people will do a sequence that looks like this, right? They'll do like something like a close slash, he'll invul through it, and then he'll dash, right? If you're expecting a dash, then just press a whiff cancelable normal there, and you'll bait it, right? You can press probably jab as jam, but honestly, even like 5p, 2p, 5k might be fast enough, honestly. I've never like really tested these, but basically jab for sure will work. If he does counter into counter, I know there is more, believe it or not. She says cancel 6H into 4-6. Well, yeah, that's the difference is that you don't. Well, I guess that might work. The thing is, you're not hitting him when he does that. She's probably talking about when you have no scrolls. If you have no scrolls and you trigger the counter, 2H 4-6 is a punish because you'll trigger it and then he'll land into you and you'll get a free Hochifu. But if I'm not mistaken, I think let me see. I don't think the 2H 6H thing would like this would not work. I think maybe just because he's not hitting you. I don't know. Like normally that's just like it just depends on active frames. This button might be just active enough. Maybe. Yeah, maybe you can do that. Right. Basically, I'm just trying to explain like the shenanigans, right? He can also do counter into counter, right? If you were mashing punch, he'll do counter, cancel into counter during the strike interval, and then you'll trigger it, and that's what happens, right? So like, it'll look kind of like this, right? Where it's like, even if you do this, it looks like the timing is kind of funky on it. I'm sure you could practice it. My point is that it's so you understand how these work, right? So that it doesn't like, I have no idea what the fuck is happening when he wakes up. This is what's happening. This is what's happening, you know? I'm sure 2H46 is pretty good if you can get the timing for it, if I had to guess. Jam has a lot of ways of baiting this. I'm just explaining like what it is and how it works, and like if you ever expect counter into counter, you could also just wait and press it like a little later and you'll get the counter hit, because he's always counter hit recovery after these, right? So if you wait, he's always going to be like counter hit recovery. A little slow on it. Wait, why is he not? Well, that's weird. Maybe he's not off of that. I'm like pretty sure he's supposed to be counter hit recovery. That's really weird. That's how he works, right? The other thing is his pressure is oftentimes oriented around like button. If you don't know how answer works, they're probably putting scrolls down. Button, scroll dash, right? I'll show you like a very common, like you don't know how answer works type of block string, right? Someone will probably do something like this. Alright, so the big reason this isn't like a thing you should get to do is, one, this is minus, right? If you were to send it and press 6H, you would hit him. And none of answer's special cancels are all that threatening, if I'm being honest. That it's like not that big a deal. 6H is pretty valid here. Only card wire C is dangerous to get hit by. But even if you don't, right? This is a pressure reset. In other words, like, wait, what? What the heck? Weird. Alright, whatever. Okay. I was like wondering. So like here, pressure reset. Hochifu, right? If you're a normal character, blitz. The point is that there's a gap here. Set into button just has a gap. It's minus to begin with, but if they're doing it into another button, it's a gap. Generally with answer, it's probably a mid, right? So if you recognize it, Hochifu fodder, right? You snipe the timing, like he presses 5H right here, boom. Doesn't matter. If you don't get it there, 5H into this has a gap. Blitzable, also Hochifuable, right? Cool. That you didn't do that. This has a gap. Right? Dash into dash with nothing in between has a gap. Hochifu is fair game a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. The big thing for her is that there are moments where answer can throw card wire C or try to uncling and go low or stack her with lows, and he'll bait Hochifu. But generally, on average, he just does not match her risk reward, right? If you hit one of these, like a juicy one of these, you say, like here, for example, then you send it on PK, right? A lot of the times you will get the counter hit on these, right? So if you hit the airborne one, right, you get a PK, right? So you get very good value when you're finally right, is the key, right? There's nothing that says answer can't do this, right? And like really try to bait you for pressing. I'll press 2D to see if I can get it, right? Really try to like bait you for the Hochifu. You're like, oh, he's gonna do it here, and then you press Hochifu, right? Oh shoot, I'm doing it like way too early, right? Like this, dude. Even that traded. Come on. Basically, it's hard for him to consistently get good value. Even if he hit you with 2D, his hit confirm would have a gap where if you waited, you would get the Hochifu chance later if you wanted to. But even still, if he doesn't hit confirm it into something big, a lot of the times you'll eat a 2k 2D into a sweep, or you'll eat a 2k raw or something, you know. Just send 4p6 instead of... I don't really think you need a 464 PK too much versus answer. You can if you want. I doubt it makes it so that you don't get the punish. But a lot of the times, I don't think it really comes up. A lot of answers hits aren't actually... Like, they don't have cross-up protection or whatever. Or they do have cross-up protection. A lot of dashes where he goes like this into you, like even when he's kind of like above, like over here, those are oftentimes getting hit no matter like what Hochifu direction you pick. But if you feel more comfortable doing 4P4 like as the input, it's probably fine. I don't think it changes anything, honestly. But as you're noticing staggers, this is like very important. Like I said, the tricky part is Answer, especially with scrolls around, he can bait you doing it poorly, right? So I'll give you an example, right? 6H is a safe jump. Something like knockdown, micro dash into this. If you go, oh, well, he told me when I see there's a gap, just Hochifu it, right? Or Hochifu on wake up. If you Hochifu here on wake up, he safe jumps you because of the strike invincibility on the scroll. Give me a second. It's been a minute. Right? So it looks like that, right? He does his little kick. The kick triggers Hochifu, but then he touches the scroll and Zekai goes into the invul and then he punishes you, right? There are some moments like this. You have to be a little mindful. They don't really come up that much outside of Oki. Sometimes this happens like during pressure, but a lot of the times he doesn't actually dash through you fast enough or cling fast enough. A lot of the times Hochifu is still pretty solid. But just be mindful of the fact that, like, yes, there are safe jumps even on Hochifu, right? And they might not look like it, but they do, like, this is a safe jump, right? So you might have to, like, represent Blitz, right? You can still RPS in different ways if you want to, but not necessarily with just DP and Hochifu. It's just, like, you're going to have to Blitz sometimes, right? And then you'll force a little bit more respect, right? The key, I think, if I had to give, like, really drive-by advice, right? Because this is a complex matchup. Complex in the sense that, like, yes, Hochifuing a lot is good, but you still have to kind of learn where and when to Hochifu, right? There's definitely spots where you're just going to do it and nothing's going to happen if you don't do it right. So it takes time to kind of learn enough of the interactions to get to there. I do think it's important to really understand how to bait his counter and how to understand, like, ooh, there's one of these on top of him. So I think he's going to do counter into dash. I'm just going to press a bunch of P's, you know, like, Answer shouldn't really get away with too many shenanigans versus Jam, and I think if you do let him, or anybody really, it's not just Jam, like, if you get away with those shenanigans a little too much as Answer, you get, like, way too much value out of being Answer, I think. Like, he's not supposed to feel that good on defense. He's got some tools, like, and he's got a little bit of RPS he can do, but he shouldn't feel that good, right? He shouldn't get that many opportunities, right? That I do think a lot of it is learning to start there. His pressure isn't, like, his defense isn't that great, so you can generally run a lot of things like this, you know, get a lot of, like, pressure going off 5K, 5H, you know, 2K, 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 6H, you know, all the usual stuff. Something I do try to, like, tell a lot of jams, and it might feel kind of unintuitive, is Answer's whiff punishes are almost always mids, essentially. That's just, like, how he works. So you might end up in interactions like this, where you might whiff as he does this, and if you recover, just mash Hochifu, bro. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you have an interaction like this and you recover, like, just as it happens, you almost always, like, might as well buffer Hochifu. You find a lot of success on on, like, stuff like this. Like, if you're playing neutral and you're like, yeah, this guy's, like, playing footsies with me, I'm gonna do run up far slash, and you do this, it's like a lot of the times you might as well, like, react and try to Hochifu in these spots. I think it's, like, pretty good value. Even if he does, like, jump to scroll, even if it's already out and he does this, you know, you do that. Let me see if I can get the timing on. Actually, let's do it like this. All right, so even if he does, like, this. Oh, whoops, I didn't record the dash. My bad. All right. Because, well, let's do it, like, the realistic way. Because he's going to usually super jump into this, is, like, what it looks like. Oh. Oh my goodness, this is so much more awkward than it looks, I promise. Okay, close enough, close enough. So, like, if I run up and I miss a button like this, Hochifu is legit, like, pretty solid to mash on whiff. The idea is if you are finding yourself getting whiff punished a lot, but they're not true punishes, Hochifu is pretty solid, honestly. Like, the matchup always comes back to this option for her. It's just so good at stopping his ability to... Normally, a lot of characters would whiff that, and Answer would force the whiff and then start his offense, right? And his offense is really complicated. It's really hard to find consistent gaps all the time in it if you don't really recognize certain moments in it. It all just kind of looks the same and feels oppressive, right? That most of the time he gets away with this a lot versus other people, and a lot of other people have to do something like this versus him, where they would do this and then they blitz it, right? And it's a really similar looking interaction. The problem with this is that it's usually way easier to bait this than it is Hochifu. Hochifu is definitely baitable too. Like if he does the same sequence, we'll say like this, and he waits and he does this, like you can still bait Hochifu a lot of the times. The same way you would bait Blitz. But it's, look at how much harder it is. Like it's very tricky to not accidentally run into Zekai, right? This is mostly an execution test, you know, in the sense that like there's nothing that says Answer cannot get around it. Like there's nothing that says he can't time it correctly, but man is it hard sometimes. And again, the risk reward is usually okay for Jam. It's very rare that she dies a lot of the time on this. Same with like neutral situations where he's zipping and he's zapping around, right? Like some of them are funky, right? Like this Hochifu will actually not work because there's a scroll right behind Jam and he's going to cling and he's going to invul, right? So like you have to start to get a good feel for it. And this is a big punish for Answer, right? But if you do get a good feel for it, then you'll get some good ones. Like that one isn't guaranteed, but the last one is. It's like you block that, you block the cross up. Whoops, IB. I didn't mean to IB that. All right. A lot of the times it's just kind of like waiting around. Oh, hold on. I should be a little closer. Oh, I got what I want. Oh, I didn't record the last dash. That's funny. All right. Oh my god, I'm mixing myself. Not like paying attention to the way that I set the dashes. Oh my god. Baited by the recording, yeah. Ah, whatever, man. Why isn't this recording? I did it right. Oh, it's because she's getting hit. That's why. The hit stop is changing the timing. No, it's the hit stop. It's the hit stop on it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna like... My point... Sorry. I know that this isn't really like... necessarily turning into what we want, but my point is if you start to learn where the Hochifus are a little bit more likely to hit, it's like insanely good value, right? Where you wouldn't want to do it on the one that ends up behind you, right? Like you don't want to do it on the dash that put him there, right? A lot of the times you don't want to do it on this one. It can work, but it's like very iffy. But the one after it, it's like, yeah, probably. Like this just probably works, right? Then it's like, yeah, you might as well. As far as like neutral goes, I think the big thing I see a lot of jams, I think it's actually fine to like back up and charge a card every now and then. Mostly because like he might get scrolls, but I don't think they're necessarily as valuable as her cards. Granted, I'm under the assumption that you'll get better at parrying a lot of the resets he does in his offense, right? But I think when that's the case, it's like, well, scrolls are essentially not as good because he's going to have to respect this option quite a bit. So he's probably going to run through his scrolls doing a lot of just like waiting around like this. So you get a card, not a big deal. Answer's also never punishing for a lot unless he spends 25 bar. He's just not. Right? That like you don't really have to like worry about it. Yeah, cards last the round, scrolls don't last as long. The big thing is that I think it's fine in terms of the punishment is more like what I'm focusing on here. If he does this like right as you're charging a card, then it's like cool, like he'll get a run up punish or whatever, and that's a pretty big deal. But it always costs 25, and he's got to do it with that. Eating a regular card is like not a very big deal as jam. You get duffed, and like that's kind of it. I also think it's just one of those matchups where at this range you kind of want to hang out like probably around here versus Answer. You really want to stay like at the end of this range as jam when you take interaction with Answer. I never want to be at this range versus jam. It's really hard to anti-air her because JH hits like right as she lands on you at this distance, right? So in other words, like if you're a little too far as jam, then it's really easy to anti-air you. If you're like over here, then it's like, yeah, it's like child's play to hit 6p on reaction. It doesn't matter what. Even at this distance, like at this distance even, oh, I'm carded. At this distance, Air Dash Geki still gets anti-aired. Like, even at this distance, it's just like, even when you're trying to poke, it just takes so long to really, like, get there that a lot of the times you just get duffed. Like, even Air Dash Geki oftentimes just gets clipped, right? But at this distance, you're not hitting that reaction. Like, I can guarantee you, absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, nobody is anti-airing that reaction. Maybe with Blitz. Maybe with Blitz. But not with DP. Or not DP, with 6p, right? So this range is good in the sense that, like, nothing hits for him, right? Granted, nothing hits for you, But you at least have control over, like, well, it's like one dash away, right? You're about like one dash away from a good 2D. Or a well-timed 6H might make contact, right? Like at this distance, a well-timed 6H, dash 6H, you make contact, right? I do think the neutral is like the least thing that she wants to do in this matchup, right? Because if you're not in this range, Answer kind of chills a lot versus you. Once you get like this distance, it's good because things like 5K connect and your pressure is really oppressive. But Answer's got some pretty good bar. Like a good 2P, a good 2P, 2D will get you out. That I don't sweat it as much. I much more hate fighting Jam when she's like right outside my pokes. When she finds a good way to hang out here, it's very stressful. I almost always back away. I always back away into, if you now recognize this is the distance where I just anti your own reaction, right? And I get it every time. So you kind of want to fish for that distance and get better at recognizing, like, yeah, he's just running, run forward, you know? Like, he might sense, like, you know, this is the distance I don't like being versus Jam. And so you're just like, yeah, he's just gonna run. He's just gonna run. I'm just gonna chase him. Right? He backs away, then just walk forward back into the range. I don't think you have to walk. You can if you want, if you find it safer. But I think once you're confident and you understand he's gonna run, you might as well just chase him, I think. Right? The big thing is Answer, even when he pokes you, like if he does this, nothing leads into knockdowns off of his pokes, right? So like, let's say you ran in. A lot of the times, like even when you run in on stuff like this from far away, his pokes don't often knock down. His sweep is far reaching, but not that far reaching. You have to be quite close for it to finally knock down. So more likely than not, you're eating something that looks kind of like this as Jam on the way in. And that's kind of it, right? Or it's like you eat this on the way in and then you're like, huh, there's a card here and that's annoying. But one, I don't think this combos a lot of the time. Sometimes it does. But sometimes it doesn't, by the way. Which is also like, I hate that. But that's like a different point entirely. I've seen like Milk, I think he buffers Hochifu PDC here. Or what is it? PDC, yeah. He always buffers the PDC on hit, it looks like, when I fight him. Because it's like, you might as well, like, you don't lose anything. And if you're lucky and you get it, we'll say, like, around here. Then, like, you might as well, like, fish for it. It's a funky interaction. It's because Answer just, he doesn't have, like, it's fucked up that on hit you might get that. It doesn't really change your circumstances at all to do it on combos anyway. But yeah, my point is, it doesn't hurt as much as you think to get hit by him the first time. It does the second time. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. If he does this, and then you run into this, then it hurts. Then it hurts, right? Once the card is out, you might want to reconsider how much you just recklessly approach. Maybe you do want to slow things down a little bit. But you do kind of get an easy initial gamble, right? Because me personally, I don't usually mind when people do something like this. But that's just me personally, right? Let's say you're playing neutral and Answer gets the hit and he does this. I think this is kind of fine in the sense that it's like, yes, I won't pretend this isn't a lot of damage potentially. But it costs like 50 bar. It means you don't have to deal with card YRC, you know? Like, there's a lot of little things that you won't have to deal with because of this, right? It means, like, parry PRC isn't, like, an option anymore, right? It's just some damage and then Oki. And you're mostly fine. As far as Okazeme is concerned, he's got a lot of it. Like, let's be real. He's got a lot of it. Generally speaking, I'll give you this advice. A lot of the times, if Hochifu didn't work, Blitz did. And that's just, like, if you want to keep gambling and gambling and gambling, if Hochifu's getting baited, Blitz would not have. Blitz almost certainly would have not been baited on the button that triggered the Hochifu, basically. Also, if he knocks you down, I don't really like Hochifu unless he's on a scroll. In other words, if an Answer combo looks like this, I think Hochifu is pretty legit as an option to consider. If Answer's Oki looks kind of like this, where he's starting on the scroll in some way above you, it doesn't matter how. Hochifu's pretty good. You might as well do 464 probably, even though this always hits on the same side unless he does the overhead. You might as well do 464. If the Oki looks kind of like this, I don't think it's worth doing it. We'll show like a different version. The Oki looks like this. I don't really think it's worth Hochifu, right? The big thing here is, yes, he might do this, and you can Hochifu that, but that's a safe jump anyway. The other thing is, me personally, I pick 2K there a lot anyway, versus Jam. If you were to gamble here on the one where it's grounded and there's some scrolls on top of you, I would generally recommend something that's more like backdashing is pretty good. Backdashing is pretty good. If you think he's gonna do a low, I think her super should work. Don't DP because he has low profile frames, but a good old-fashioned super will catch him doing 2k. Backdash will also just kind of give you some breathing room versus him if you nail the backdash, right? So backdash, you get out, right? And the things that are beating those usually are losing to Hochifu, maybe, but for sure are losing to Blitz, right? He has a very, like, this and that. Like, it is a little 50-50 in terms of how he's baiting your responses. And there's nothing that says you have to play the game with him, but if you want to, it's important to understand what's beating what, basically. But if I was to give advice versus answer, it's basically wait for a lot of the points where it seems like you're starting to get frame trap or pressure is resetting, right? So something like this into this, right? This is a pressure reset. He presses something that's plus and then presses something after, right? Set into 5H, that's a pressure reset, right? It's technically minus, but it doesn't really matter. A button a button into dash is generally always a gap. You can try to Hochifu it, but remember Hochifu has mixed results, right? It's not always going to work, but Blitz should always get the job done if you're really confident, right? Hochifu is hard to bait compared to other things. That's why my level 1 advice is kind of like, do it a lot. If it's starting to not work, maybe try a Blitz or just go back to blocking. But learning to recognize some of these gaps is really important. Learning to play right outside the range of like his far slash on grounded neutral is pretty good. I don't really think you want to play much grounded neutral. His buttons are better than yours, but they're low reward, so at least you won't die when you're wrong. And the other thing is basically, if you're getting knocked down, like try to pay attention to the type of Oki he's doing, whether he's like above you or in front of you, and like rotate your options a little based on that. Cardwire C is just Cardwire C. It's going to catch you in neutral doing things. If he's doing it in block strings, you basically just respect it. If you ever hold Chifu it and it triggers off the YRC, I would recommend just blocking. If Answer does it correctly, he can outspace Zekai with 2k anyway. So if you go into the follow-up or dashes, he should always punish you if he's doing it right. That if you ever trigger it in the slowdown, just cancel into blocking. Like, just release the Hochifu and go into block. Don't pick a follow-up. That way you don't get baited for free. Other than that, I don't think there's too much general stuff to worry about. If you're hanging out in that range with his pokes, where I said like right outside that range, try stuff like IAD Geki. It's kind of hard to anti-air that. And like low altitude Geki will kind of let you press that 5k like right after. 4-6 then YRC could work. I don't think it will. I don't think so. I'm saying specifically when he does card YRC and during his slowdown, you see her Hochifuing, like during the parry moment. At that point, he can basically just like micro dash 2k, and I think if you pick essentially anything that isn't blocking, it'll probably lose. I could be wrong. I don't know how 4-6 YRC would look, but I'm pretty sure just off of his frame advantage alone, off the slowdown, I think he should win off 2k. I might be wrong. But yeah, that's a general crash course. It seemed mostly answer focused. I think you're doing fine in terms of like your pressure. I didn't see enough of the 5k 5h stuff. If you want really good structured pressure to try to steal, just go watch Fiery play. Fiery has very structured pressure. He's very like refined, and like he does this string to be plus, and then he does the next string under the assumption he's counter hitting you with the next starter, right? Like his strings are very calculated in that sense. But yeah, hopefully that was concise enough. Gives you an idea on some stuff to try. I'm going to take a look and possibly just send it. 5:30. I'm down. Fuck it. I'm going to drive to Little Tokyo. All right. Hopefully that helped you guys. You know the vibe. Normally I would hang out a little bit. But you know the vibe. VOD review is open to everybody in case anybody else is lurking, because I know I saw Pazoo. Anybody can submit VOD review. You could have just won Combo Breaker, and I will do my best to give my 2 cents. Doesn't mean they would mean much to you as a Combo Breaker champion, you know, or an insert thing champion. But it's open to everybody. Beginners, intermediate, experienced. It makes no difference to me. They happen bi-weekly, outside of if I have obligations or festivities come up or something. So it would be 2 weeks from now. I'm gonna rotate Saturdays and Sundays. So the next one's supposed to be Saturday. I'm trying to help with a little bit of schedule conflicts. They're still 2 weeks apart, but one will be on Saturday and then one will be on Sunday, and we'll rotate back and forth to see if it helps people at all. That way, there's a little bit more leniency on scheduling. Um, but I will also, not maybe today but tomorrow. I've been behind. These go on YouTube, so I don't really like use my YouTube channel for literally anything. But it's a good storage space, and Twitch ads suck, and it's a lot easier to block ads on YouTube. So I think it's Biken Slayer is the, or Biken Slayer, Biken Player is the YouTube channel. I'm gonna upload this VOD. So if you want to, and I timestamped them. I'm behind on like the last two. That's my bad. I'm gonna try to upload them tomorrow. But if you want to revisit these, they're on YouTube. I posted on my bluesky too. But yeah, that's it for me. I gotta hit up Little Tokyo and try to hang out with some friends. But good times. I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you guys learned something. We'll do it again in 2 weeks probably. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. If you want to watch more Exerd, by the way, I gotta do the shout outs. More Exerd is, it looks like Apollo is streaming him playing other characters, maybe. And it looks like Ray is streaming. I got hit with an ad, so I don't know what he's streaming, but he's playing Exerd. If you guys want to go check out more Exerd, then he's playing Disney. I'll play more, watch more Exerd. Hit up either of them too. They're chill. But other than that, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys later.